And we are live. Hello, everyone. Hi, Valerie. Yeah, we'll hear the shuffling cards again. They'll make a return. They're haunting everyone's live streams tonight, apparently. So yeah. I gave Shay a wrench because she's a Potterhead. She is a fellow fan of Harry Potter, like I was. In fact, before I fell asleep and had to be woken up by Val messaging me a bunch of times to get me off. Uh, uh, Basically, I was watching Harry Potter and Half Blood Prince, which is one of my favorite Harry Potter films, and yeah. Yeah. They're this thing. Oh, it's fine. Lies, right? I doubt you'll have to use it much. We don't get many weirdos in here, to be honest with you. Thankfully, we get good people in here. After, oh, cool, nice. Before lend me some Harry Potter. Oh, of course, so do I. Do. What I've always wondered is if they like snuck out of class and like went to go to the Forbidden Forest and smoke gillyweed. Only the Harry Potter fans will get what I'm saying. And Val, you should definitely watch Harry Potter because it's a trip. Certainly the later ones, they're so good. Like the battle sequences between Harry and Voldemort and Voldemort and Dumbledore are so good. Like they're just spectacular. They're visually amazing. Like they look great on in picture. So I'm dead old now. I'm like in the pictures. That's what old people say because that's what my grandparents always used to say. Like instead of say you're going down to the theatre or the cinema, they say you're going down to the pictures. I'm like, it's not 1930, you know. Oh, bless them. I love them though. I like that. I like that they refer to things in the older versions of them, although they can be quite politically incorrect at times, and that can be very awkward. However, but I love them nonetheless. I read the books and first and can point out the differences. Much appreciation. Yes. I honestly think there's things in the book that they should definitely have introduced. Like what I think they should have introduced more was they should have had more about the Yule Ball. You know when they have it in what's it called, Prisoner of Azkaban. No, it's not Prisoner of Azkaban. It's what's it called? The one where they're in the Triwizard tournament, Goblet of Fire. Yeah, Goblet of Fire. When they're in the Goblet of Fire, I think they should have had more on the Yule ballroom scene and just more on the trials. You know what I mean? They didn't have very much on them. It was only like a scene each trial. I wish it was like more prolonged. You know what I mean? That was my favorite part of that film. But I'll get back onto something that we can all relate to, like some ghost stories. Like maybe let me think about which ones I can tell. Yes. Yes, and what I can get onto is I think I could tell this story. I was in Shropshire again this time, and it happens a lot in Shropshire because the reason for this happening is because I believe that a lot of paranormal things happening in Shropshire, basically, were. Oh yeah, Lady V. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you, Shay. I'll post the link again in case anyone else wants to come up.
I figured just a minute. Sorry,
It's fine.
I have to go get a procedure because every once in a while I just choke on my saliva.
Yeah, I do that because of smoking weed.
Yeah, well, every once in a while, yeah.
I'll end up like the Moors murderer Ian Brady, who's choked on his own saliva basically because he had like so much
Exactly.
fluid on his lungs that
Yeah.
he refused to get it drained because he wanted to die because he'd spend 50 years in prison.
Yeah, in
You're gonna
prison.
want
Yeah,
to die. You're
I
gonna want
agree.
to die. Yeah.
Well, I
Uh,
figured you put up your link because you wanted somebody to come up and talk to you, so I thought I would.
yeah, sure. Anyone? Sweet surrender. Hello, Charnel. I've never seen you around here before, but good to see you.
Could y'all hit the like, and if you're not, please subscribe.
Hells to the yeah.
Thank you for the wrench. You're too sweet.
Yeah, I want to give wrenches to all the people who are good people, and I can rely on.
Yes, and you can.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
by the way, I didn't not watch you. I just had been in school for 10.5 weeks and just
I
got.
hadn't been doing anything.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
I
I don't want
haven't.
you to think I wouldn't have been watching you because I just got back out of school and graduated about 3 weeks ago or so. So
Yeah,
I'm still trying to catch up with everybody.
that's absolutely fine, and that's fine, Liza. You just hit the link when you're ready, and if you need me to post it again, I will. And same for anyone else. This is open house, basically.
Yeah, if you have a good ghost story, let us know.
Ghost stories or anything really. Like I'm interested in anything. I'm researching a lot about American politics at the moment, even though I'm not
Oh, holy
political.
moly, let's
Just,
not
just,
get on
just,
that one.
but mainly minor parties. Do you know, like small political parties that
Yeah,
don't
like
have any,
right.
much representation, but like
Yeah.
just the weird world of them, and also microstates within the United States, like
Oh
people who've
yeah.
declared their own country. You know what I mean?
Yep, I
And
know
their
it.
own small bit of land.
Well, that's
And
what I need to do.
oh yeah, thanks, Shay. That was amazing. That I really
Yeah, the
enjoyed
more
doing that live.
yeah, that was good. I did see that one.
Clumsy, anything. You want to talk about ghost stories? Want to talk about tarot? Want to talk about anything? I anything that I love basically, and we all love the same things. We're all linked because of true crime and ghost stories and paranormal. So it's all
Yeah.
we all like the same stuff, So anything really, I'm open to anything.
Charnel said she was my very first subscriber. How sweet.
I was
Wow,
washing
you're
my
the OG triple OG, aren't you?
yeah, because Lady V, I'm looking in. I would love to start my own country as a laugh.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice if I
I
declared my little 5-acre area here its own country.
yeah, because that's what the founding fathers intended. They never
It
meant for this
is.
whole 50-state thing to keep going. That was just to stop England from invading us again.
Exactly.
Now that's not a threat. We could kick England's ass.
Yeah. Well, sometime we're going to have to head over to my true crime one. I have never published anything there, but first I have to learn how to use StreamYards, and I was hoping Valerie would help me do that.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll help you. She's so nice. She'll be
And
glad to
then
help you.
and then you guys can come over to mine. It's Manicures and Murder.
Nice title. Yeah.
Well, Brittany actually came up with that, but I
Did
love
she?
it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm keeping it. So I'm copywriting.
You're gonna go to the patent office and
Yes,
get it copyrighted.
Yeah, I copyright Manicures and Murder. Now it's
You
in the
probably go
public.
there and knowing the world, someone's probably already claimed it
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
for their defunct podcast that they haven't done in 10 years.
Shay said, "Scare the crap out of us."
Yeah, I got a story about my father, and he saw something, and he's agnostic, and he used to be like a Catholic, but he was only ever Catholic for identity reasons because he grew up. He was born in Ireland, but he grew up in England a lot, like I did. He had the same kind of upbringing, like traveler. I'm from a traveler background. Do you know what that is?
Yes, I do.
Like a gypsy.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. But we settled, like my grandfather was the first in my family who settled, whereas my great grandfather on my dad's side was a proper traveler, whereas he like traveled Ireland for work and
Right.
go to village to town in a small caravan, you know what I mean, and just drop up at sites, get some work, get some money, go on to the next town, you know what I mean. That was the way of life, you know, and that's exactly like gypsies. Yeah, we are gypsies, yeah, and we're Irish gypsies. Difference than most gypsies are, you know, can be, you know, from the India region or
Are they?
Romania.
Yeah, I was going to say they're usually of the Romney blood, right?
Yes, yes. But whereas what happened was they came in to Ireland in and around the 1800s and intermixed with people who were what would be known as hobos in the old way of hobos, whereas they like I say, they
Yeah, I know
traveled from town to town for
exactly.
work to work, you know, not sit around like in the Depression era hobos. Those types they intermingle because the ways were so similar, and I could probably have some of that of the Romani or the kind of Indian side in me. Probably the Romani because of how light my skin is. Because I've got the lightest in the family. My dad and my brother, apart from my mother, because my mother's Scottish, you see, so that's where I get the light from. But my dad and my brother are dark Irish. They like black hair and tanned, and that comes from when Ireland used to be closer to the equator. You see,
Yeah, I understand.
the native Irish were darker than they weren't light skinned. They were darker skinned. They
Right.
weren't black, but they were just really tanned because of it used to be like the same climate as like Bermuda would be now,
I didn't know
so like
that.
really warm. And yeah, so they're like the pre-Celts because the Celts originate from like the France Spain region, but the native Irish, where I do have some of that in me as well. They were always the they split from the Neanderthals and things like that. So
You
I'm
know,
really interested in that sort of thing,
I
like
just found out.
ancestry, lineage.
Yeah, I just found out that, well, we thought we were Blackfoot Indian, but it turns out that my aunt says, my great aunt, she says that we're Cherokee. I knew
Really,
that a lot of my family died on the Trail of Tears, so that's the end of where I can look on my mom's side. And but my grandparents, my grandpa Dees, he actually had Scotch and Irish. He was Scotch and Irish, and my great grandfather on my grandma's side, he was Scotch Irish as well.
yes, yes.
So I actually have more Scotch Irish and Cherokee in me than I do anything else. But I have French in there as well, and heavens only knows what else. But those, because yeah, it's weird what those DNA kits can do. You're like, hell, I don't even know my own story.
That's a very interesting mix. As Lady Vian Shay's got a very interesting mix as well. You see, it's because it's like the Americas. It's where it's like people can have more of an exotic type of mix to them. Whereas where I come from, it's like everyone's from like the surrounding countries, pretty much, you know. And
Right.
it's interesting the region where I grew up, the north of England, because uh, the tribe that inherited the Brigantes tribe, they were basically Welsh. So Wales used to be a lot bigger country than it is now. So you know where I grew up was basically old Welsh tribal land, basically, and where they used to fight the English. And
Right.
English is a very interesting thing, you know, because English comes from Anglish, Anglo-Saxon. You know,
Yes.
I'm not Anglo-Saxon, so and I wasn't born in England either. I was born in Ireland. You know, so I've never seen myself as English. You know, it's a point of principle. But if people want to call me British or English, I would say I
Well,
am
your
from the British
accent kind of
Isles.
varies. Your accent, you kind of vary through accents with different words.
Yeah, that's true because I grew up with my dad and he has a strong Irish accent, and my
Mm-hmm.
mother has a bit of a Scottish accent because she was born in Scotland but grew up in close to Manchester and Liverpool.
So do you also speak Scotch and well, I mean Irish and Welsh?
Le Gaeilge an Anseo.
Yep, I don't know what that is.
Speak Irish here. Yes, I do.
And then do you speak, was it Welsh or
Welsh,
Scottish?
Scottish. I speak a bit of Welsh. Goetho Gymru. That's Welsh. Welcome to Wales. And
Okay. And then the
Scot
Scottish one.
Scots
That
Gaelic.
Scottish ones are very strong.
Yeah, the Scottish accent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
So can you do it? Do you speak it?
Can I speak with a flat Scottish accent? I can talk.
No,
Talk with a flat
with your just your Scott. Do you know Scottish?
Scots language. Yeah. I know a bit of it. Oh yeah, what's the
You have hidden talents.
It's similar to what I was saying in Irish. Le Bear Gaeilge and show. Le Bear Gaeilge Escocia and show, which is similar to Spanish, where in Spanish it's Escocia to say for Scotland, but in Scots Gaelic it's Escocio, which is close to Scots, which is close to that.
Well, you're pretty cool.
Yeah. What the language I want to learn as well, because I'm learning Spanish at the moment. I'm really going hard on my Spanish, and Liza helped me earlier.
Said that.
Yeah, I'm really going hard on my Spanish. I'd love to learn Basque. You know, a lot of people don't know about the Basque country. The Basque country is like a region it's like governed by Spain, some governed by Spain, some governed by France. It's like mainland. It's not an island, but it's got its own like culture, heritage, and language that's older than Spanish and French, and it's been a nation of people since before Spain and England and France and all of them. It's like one of the oldest nations in Europe, but sadly it doesn't have its independence. It's still dominated by by France and Spain, and which is a shame, you know, because they for a long time they suppressed their language and culture. It's only just recently had a revival, you know.
Right.
But it's a beautiful language. I've listened to songs in it, and some of their folk songs and their rebel songs, as they have had rebellions against it, you know.
I love the Gaelic. The Gaelic tongue is beautiful.
Yeah.
So I was pretty proud. Well, and here's the cool thing. I thought it was really neat, right? That I finally found out exactly what I was.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's amazing, you know, because I think I genuinely believe, because it's part of my beliefs, that we embody our ancestors in a way that they've given you know, more than just our traits, but our experiences. Like we can draw on them, you know, like when past life regression and things like that. That right. It's down to an ancestor. You know what I mean? And I'm talking way back. You know what I mean? Like
do you want to hear something kind of weird?
What?
So my youngest son, he was born on St. Patrick's Day.
Yes.
And I'll just tell you his first names in a minute. But oh shoot, it went right in my head. I was gonna say he likes the Green Bay Packers too, and he always loved the color green.
Yeah.
And I used to tell him, you know, like when he was born and I found out it was gonna be on St. Patrick's Day, my great grandfather's name was B. It was not just no period, no anything else, just the letter B. And we incorporated that into his name, and he always found it really cool because he's Dutch. He's mainly Dutch, and so he thought that was really cool.
I think so. I've developed, even though I'm not Dutch, I have developed ties to the Dutch. And
they're good people.
Yeah, I've developed, because I go to Amsterdam all the time, obviously, for you know why, right. Obviously.
Yeah.
Even though it's legal here, I've been going there since I was like a kid. You know what I mean? It's a kid like 16. And for my lads' holiday when I finished school, and it's got a special attachment to me, the Netherlands, and
Yeah,
I'm
I'm married to one.
yeah,
39 years. Yeah.
obviously.
But yeah, I mean, and then to find out we're more Irish than what we thought, it was really kind of cool. But I mean, him being born on St. Patrick's Day and then liking the Green Bay Packers and like anything green his whole life.
But the
That's
funny
just
thing
kind of
is,
weird too.
he represents the Irish flag because he's green and orange because he's Irish and Dutch.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it means. That's why there's orange on the Irish flag. It's to symbolise the Dutch and
I
what
did not know that. Man,
impact they colonised Ireland under William the Conqueror briefly, and he's not too popular amongst the Catholic people of Ireland, but he's very loved by the Protestant people. So every 12th of July, the Protestant people in Ireland have the commemoration of William of Orange. So they dress up in all their orange clothes and they march in the bands and things like that. And it does cause a lot of trouble. It would be nice if it was just a family-friendly affair, but you get people in the paramilitary clothing trying to hijack it. And if it was just a family-friendly thing, I've got nothing against it. I don't find it offensive. And I come from a community that was oppressed under him. It was 400 years ago. I can let bygones be bygones. And if anything, the British, the Dutch have did what would be the word? They have done well by me because in the Boer War they fought against Britain, didn't they? So they were in the same boat as Ireland.
Jay, you are a wealth of knowledge. Did you know that?
I didn't even go to university. You can just find out this all out online. It's amazing.
You're just so amazing. I could listen to you for hours. You're not boring in the least.
Everyone, all my mates used to get bored of me as a kid. They're like, "You're gonna shut up about Ireland and just go there." Is that I go there enough, mate?
Well, come to find out, okay, that way back in 1415, our family, we had a bishop in our family, and back then they had to be a royal bloodline to be able to do that.
That's true.
And so, come to find out, my family still owns a castle over there. I don't know if they pronounce it O'D or O'Day, but they have a castle over there that they still keep. All this time has been in the family.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
And to answer Shay, I was in Ireland during the Troubles, and I was only very young at the time though, because it was in and around the time of the first. No, it was the time of the second IRA ceasefire that I was born. I was born in '96. I was born just as the ceasefire was just after the ceasefire was called. It was called in this August. I was born in the September 13th, Friday the 13th.
You fascinate me.
Yeah, and the ceasefire was on, but I have seen things happen. I have seen things happen, because what happens is the Provisional IRA and the INLA, who were the main paramilitaries fighting for the freedom of Ireland, they called a ceasefire. And then the loyalist paramilitaries, who were the people fighting to keep Northern Ireland part of Britain, they called a ceasefire as well. But there were people on both sides who didn't agree with the ceasefire and then formed their own organizations. Now, on the Protestant side, all those organizations don't exist anymore because they were basically strangled at birth by the bigger Protestant organizations. Because they're like, we're not having another gang on our turf type of thing. But in the Republican side of things, in the Irish freedom side of things, those paramilitaries have stayed around to this day. They're still around. And I had an experience at a riot that I didn't know was a riot. I was coming from the shop going home where I was staying with my uncle. And there was a riot on, and a man, I said it in Valerie's live earlier, there was a man dressed in full military fatigues with a balaclava on, a ski mask and gloves, holding a Kalashnikov, an AK-47, just walking around. And what he was there for was probably to, when they like to lure in the police or army when they have a riot going, so that then they can disappear when they take a few shots at them into the crowd, and it's impossible for them to go after them because there's just too much of a crowd there, because it's guerrilla warfare tactics, you know. It's interesting, wow. Very interesting. I was very young at the time. I was like, at first I thought it was a joke. I thought it was just someone with an air gun, you know, messing around, you know, like, because it's Ireland, you know. Thought it'd be kind of funny, a kind of dark sense of humor, but it was real.
Oshkosh, my son was in 88.
Yeah. It would be great to travel outside the US, Oshkosh, but America is so big that, you know, you could there's so much to it, you know. I don't think you could. I think you could live 100 years and not get around to seeing everything that there is. You know, it's a continent in of itself. You know, and wouldn't it be funny if like all the states became independent countries? Imagine that.
You know, I think that would probably be the best thing of all.
Because then everyone can like not be, then they can't, there's not that division amongst states. It's like, this is only banned because of Texas. Like marijuana isn't legal federally because of Texas. Right. Texas wants to keep it illegal. Let it keep it illegal, but let it be its own country. But
exactly. Well, they're kind of supposed to be.
They should be, because, you know, what I've thought is Texas is so well off with the oil that it has. It would be like the best country out of all the states, next to California, obviously, because of all the Hollywood people and all the movies that get made there. So
I don't know. There's a lot of people that really don't like that area anymore. They're moving out.
Yeah,
a lot of the actors and everything are moving
and the comics out. And everything, and the sportsmen and women.
But this is the problem, Jay. The problem is that they leave something they don't like, right?
Yeah.
And then they go to a new place that they think is wonderful. But
exactly.
But then they try to start changing the policies and the laws to what they were, where they came from.
Yeah, you can't do that.
But that's what they don't like.
Exactly. You can't do that. I think I get why Texas is the way it is. I get why the Bible Belt is the way it is, because that type of Christianity is so enshrined in those communities that nothing's ever going to change that. And I wouldn't want to change that, because it's part of their character. You know, it's like why I don't agree with Mennonites or with the Amish, but I find them fascinating people. You know.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that their communities should always stay there. If anything, to be a lesson to kids about what life was like back in the 1800s, before all the technology, so that they can appreciate what they have more. You know.
Yeah, I understand that way of thinking. So, are you okay?
Hell yeah, Shay. I've spoken to Texans before, and these guys who do YouTube called Cliff and Karma, and they're brothers-in-law, and they said to me, like, look, we there's lots of people in here that want to go independent. You know what I mean? And it's cool. I've heard tell about people in New Hampshire wanting to go independent. Have you heard that?
Well, I wouldn't have a problem with it, to be honest with you.
Hey, Clumsy.
Hey, Clumsy. Let me in.
Yeah. Let me in. Let me in.
Because this isn't like political. This is just like freedom, man.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. So you're going to tell me another spooky story?
Okay. I've got a good one. Me and me mates were in this place called Factories, and it was this abandoned factory this is in Lancashire in England, to set the scene. So like lots of factories, and all of us went in there, and word was that it was haunted, that they had to close it down because so many workers were dying on the job. And that was that's what the word was around town. And we went in and we were doing a seance, and this was at height of August. This must have been like mid-August, like 15th of August, around then. Could be wrong, but around then. So really warm, like warm for England, not like terribly
Not like
warm.
America.
Yeah, not like America, not like New Mexico or El Paso, like going around there sweating to death, you know.
Right.
But warm, very warm for England and for Europe in general. And we were in there in this room, and we went to the bottom, and we were doing a sentence saying, "Anyone want to communicate with us at all?" And we were using candles. We didn't have a Ouija board. We were using candles, and so 1 flick for yes, and obviously 2 flicks for no if you don't want to communicate with us. And it went flick yes, and now there was no wind, and no one was blowing it because I was looking at everyone to make sure that they didn't, and we were far away from it anyway. So I blew as hard as I could from where I was, and it didn't even cause a flicker. So we got that, and then we were asking like, did you work here, you know? And then it was no, and then we were questioning it further, said, how did you die? And it just went no, you know what I mean? It just went no. And then I got like this, we all got chills up our spine, and like we all were like freaked out to hell. And then like we didn't get any more communication after that. After we asked how it died, it's just said no.
You closed it off, didn't you?
We did. We knew how to do it. We said thank you, and we closed it off and everything the proper way. And
I have a Ouija board story.
And then
Lady B, you do?
Yeah. Oh God, you can share it. Just let me finish this dead quick. And then but I'm excited to hear that. But yeah, I went back to my friend Peter's that night, and we were both sharing a bottle of vodka, and we were just me and him, and just overnight there was just this banging at the door, just constant banging, and like we were going out to see who was there, no one was there, and banging. And then when I got to sleep, I had this dream that I was basically on the top of the factories, the building, and I was getting pushed off by this black hand. I couldn't see who it was. It was just a black hand. And it was the most intense nightmare that I've ever had. And I think that that's what led to me having sleep paralysis.
Very well could be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You think that experience led to it, Jay?
I think so. I think so. And guess what? Peter said he had a dream similar where he was at the bottom and he was getting burned alive and everyone was dying in some horrific way. So what I deduced from because the question that triggered it was, how did you die? I guess it never died.
Exactly.
I guess what we were communicating with wasn't human, you know, because that would make sense because of the nightmares we had and how it was cold where we were, even though, and there was a breeze, even though it was middle of summer.
Was it an abandoned place?
Abandoned place, yeah.
Was it abandoned where you guys went? Okay. Yeah. Oh wow.
I wonder if it was like because where it was, we were in a town called St. Helens. And St. Helens has interesting history, like Mount St. Helens. Yeah, it has an interesting history. It was called that because there were so many witches there. The church was trying to change the image of the place because they had an abbey, which is the oldest site in the town, which was made in the 1300s. And there are graves there from the 1300s. Yeah.
Oh,
so lots of spiritual activity in that crematorium, which I've been to many times. And I always pay a visit when I'm going back visiting family in Blackpool, where I grew up. But everyone's really interested in this, yeah. I'm so glad you're still here, Val. If you want to come up, I can drop the link. But I get if she's all panelled out, but yeah.
Her voice was all Her,
experience.
or she's starting to lose it. She's starting to sound like me. I lose mine at least a few times a week.
I think sometimes she thinks she has to talk louder than she needs to.
Yeah, because she's
Aw.
got such a sweet voice.
She does. She has a very quiet voice.
So
Very
when
true.
she's talking, she feels like she has to project it more because it's a very soft voice. So I think that's why.
That's what I thought, Liza. That's what I thought.
That's
wonder
exactly
if-
what I thought.
I wonder if so your experience with the sleep paralysis, did it happen during the dream, or like as you were coming out of that dream? Did something come out of that dream almost with you, or how did that roll? How did that work?
As I came out of the dream when I hit the floor. I was in terror. I hit the floor, and that's how I came out of the dream. But I couldn't move when I came out, as if I literally were paralyzed in real life.
Yeah, so that happened after you hit the floor?
Yeah, like it was real. As if I'd just been pushed off the top of the building and been paralyzed for real. I had that sensation. It was terrifying.
Wow.
Never felt like I've had sleep paralysis since, but obviously I dope myself up, so it helps me. I've found that marijuana helps me not go there. So some people, it's different for everyone, I guess. Hey, Knox. Oh, sure, Val. Honestly, you did 3 hours, and you're very welcome. I'm glad. I'm just glad that you had me up. It was such a good time. We all enjoyed it, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Enjoyed it so much we moved over here.
Yes, and now we're in Mr. Warren's house.
Mm-hmm.
Casa del Warren.
Casa del Warren.
Does
I'm gonna
Liza
have to
want
go
to come
back
up?
and watch some of your stuff that I missed.
You didn't miss shit. Honestly, I haven't been live for 2 months. I haven't done anything for 2 months.
I know.
Valerie took a little break.
She did.
So then I took a break, and then it took into a bigger break, and now I've just broken that break tonight.
Well, I'm
or
glad
this morning,
you did.
whatever you want to look
You
at.
broke your streak. Whoop whoop.
Yeah. Cash, Ash Cash. I'm gonna mess up your name every time. Said it's fun. Just glad she found us.
It sounds like you're saying Cash App, huh? Or you want to say Cash App?
Yeah, well, I want to say Ask Cap.
If anyone wants to come up, just put it in the chat and let me know, and I'll keep an eye out for guests, because Clumsy had to let me know when you wanted to come up, because I wasn't looking.
Oh, did you kick off Lady V?
No, I didn't kick her off. She just fell off. No, I wouldn't kick her off. I think she's coming back now.
It's probably her internet. She said it was spotty. There
she
you
is
are.
Back.
Are you muted, Boomer?
Yes, I am.
Boomer.
It's at 3:04 every night. It's like the weirdest thing, but they're updating.
What, something will happen?
Huh?
You said at 3 or 4 at night?
Oh, every night at 3:04, my internet drops down to where either I get disconnected like tonight, or almost disconnected, and I get back on before I get kicked off.
I'm just going outside for a spliff, so if I fall off, that's why.
Oh, spliffy.
For a spliffy, yeah.
Oh,
I don't have any. I don't know why I call it a spliff. It's a joint, if anything, because it's not got tobacco in. I quit.
So
doing
do you
that.
guys call, like, so when I smoke, should I say I'm smoking a stogie, or would it be like what do you guys call it?
Bifter.
A bifter?
A bifter, yeah. That actually has its origins in Jamaica, the word bifter, but it became popular in London in communities where there was large amounts of Jamaican people living, and then it just became big in the north of England as well, because there's quite a lot of Jamaicans in Manchester and Liverpool. So it just became the same. But there's like much conflict as to what bifter actually means. It could either mean a cigarette or a joint.
So it could be like
both.
either or.
Yeah, basically.
That's interesting.
And there's a few others, like going over the slang is pretty funny, because it's like fag, obviously you probably heard that.
Yeah,
it's a cigarette,
smoke a
cigarette.
fag.
Yeah, I knew that one. Yes.
Yeah, and it's funny, like you don't want to say, "Oh, can I lend a fag in America?" Because you'll get
Yeah,
a
no.
Oh
entirely
yeah,
different
you'll get
response.
crucified for sure.
Yeah, because it's a slur over here. But I don't mean, obviously, not saying it. I'm saying it in the cigarette context.
Do they still say it in England though? Like, is
Yeah.
it still part of the vernacular?
It's
Okay,
still part of the vernacular. It's said more in
that's
the
so
south.
interesting to me.
It's
It
said more in London. The craziest thing about England is it's such a small well, Britain in general. It's such a small island, but there's so many different dialects and
That's
accents.
so true. It is small.
It
And
is.
There's so much.
they
When you look at a
change.
map, it's tiny.
For example, you could go like Liverpool. They talk like that. The Scousers, you know, they don't talk like the Beatles anymore. They talk like that. That's how they talk. And then you could just go like 10 minutes, 5 minutes away down the road, and you got people talking like how I talk. You know, so it's like it's crazy.
You know what I love that the Brits and I think the Irish say it too, but who's the ones that say "Go on then"? Go on then. Even I say it now. Go on, or go on then. It's
Go
like
on
part of
then,
their
go on
vernacular.
then. The gypsies. Yeah.
Is it?
Part of us.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's gypsies.
Maybe
It's,
that's why I
"Go on
like
then,
it so
go
much.
on
I
then."
love saying "Go on, go on then."
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm
He's
just
okay.
having a
He's
cough.
smoking weed.
No.
The
Smoking
devil's
the
lettuce.
Devil's
He's smoking
lettuce.
the devil's lettuce.
I endorse marijuana, but only if you're over 18.
Everyone
I
smokes it out
endorse it
here,
when you're in pain. So I also
right?
took a hit before I came on because I'm in pain.
I can't just take a hit. I have to take like a fucking boatload.
Well, I took a couple, but it's dab. So
Oh, you've got dabs. See, I don't trust myself with them because I think I'll set my house on fire.
oh no, this is a pen just like a vape.
Oh, right. Sorry.
And
I
you
thought
put
you
it
meant the.
inside it. Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I thought
Yeah,
you meant
yeah.
the liquid dabs where you like heat it up and everything.
No, been there, done
I
that.
love that Lady
No,
V just said
thank
dabs.
Well, God put it here for a reason.
I grew up in a Roman Catholic, well, traditional Roman Catholic household because my grandparents, they split from the Catholic Church back in the day before they found out their son was gay and joined the more hardline traditional Catholics. And they now they're born again Christians, but they like associate with born agains and basically Baptists, those types. Happy clappies, you know. I call them the happy clappy churches where everyone's happy and clappy and singing. You don't get that in a Catholic church. You really don't.
No, that's my church.
Yeah, that's nice. Those are the types of places I could go. You know, where there's music's a big part of it because music plays a big part of my spirituality.
Yeah, and it's very spiritual. Yes, you would enjoy it if you
I
found
know
it
I would. Yeah.
fun.
Because I like gospel singers. I've been wanting to do a song with gospel singers. I just like the way their voices.
Wow,
It's amazing.
it is.
Just
I agree.
how they harmonize. It's
And
just beautiful.
Well, in ours, okay, so at ours, I'm not going to stay on here long about this, but at ours, what we do is like, there's times, they'll be preaching and stuff, and then you have a break or whatever, and then somebody gets up and sings, or the kids might get up and sing or something. And so it's not like scripted or practiced out. It's like coming from your heart when you feel led by
I like
the Spirit.
that. I like that.
When you feel led by the Spirit, you can get up and you can talk, or you can sing, or whatever you want to do. There's
no barriers. There's no barriers.
Right.
I can relate to that because after I do my rituals, I feel exactly like that. So
Right.
I feel like elated and free from any problems that are bothering me. So like
Right.
I do sing a lot. Like when I'm on my way back, I'll just sing. Usually Irish songs. Usually.
Well, you're gonna have to put some on so we can listen to them.
Lady V, are you going to tell
Yeah.
us your Ouija board story?
Oh yeah.
I can't wait to hear it.
Oh, well, it's not. Okay, so when I was about 8 years old.
So when was this? Not to ask your age, but when was this? So I can
I'm
picture it.
I'm 61 years old.
So it was in the 60s, 70s.
Hold on, I was born in 61, so about
Yeah, the
69,
60s, yeah.
70. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
I can
about-
picture it now. I can picture it already.
About 60, 70s.
The bell bottoms.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
that stuff.
And the like nylon shirts and the groovy music.
Yeah,
Plaid.
that's what we call it too, Shay. Anyway, when I was about 8 years old, I came home and my mom was standing at a door that, okay, we have this room that my mom had set up for like just sitting and stuff like that. Well, she put a Ouija board in there and she was standing at the door. And I walked up and she was asking a question. And from across the room, I am not lying. I swear on whatever you think is holy. My mom
Yogi Bear.
moved that from across the room.
What? Bloody hell.
Yeah.
But like on her own.
Yes. Nobody
mad.
else. Nobody else.
That is mad. That, and it just happened as you were. Whoa! That,
Yeah.
I bet you never went on it again after that.
No, I never. No, I stay away from it now because it scares me like that.
Yeah, with me,
because I'm afraid that it would happen to me.
I compare my spirituality to a roller coaster. I mean, I'm in it for the thrills. You know what I mean? I got what was coming to me with what I saw in Ireland because of all the rituals I was doing. That was basically calling on like higher forces and things, and gods and goddesses, mainly goddesses. Actually, I have, because we all path work with different entities, even though we believe in multiple, and we have everyone that has a closer relationship with one over the other in paganism. But with me, it's with a female entity, you know, because I think Mother Nature represents what I'm out and about for, you know what I mean? And she's the goddess of Mother Nature.
Right. I understand what you're saying.
So it's like, you know, to me, it's goddess, not God, you know. Makes more sense to me.
The Fae kind of.
What?
I said it reminds me of the Fae, you know, like fairies.
Yes.
Yes.
And the Fae and all that's actually really serious stuff.
It is.
I believe
very old magic, like the Island of Skye and stuff like that. They've got lots of lore on it.
Guess what? That's where on my, do you know how I have a Scottish side of me? That's where my Scottish side descend from, the Isle of Skye.
Really?
I wonder why. Yeah, exactly. I traced it back. I've got ancestral records of the MacLebrun family and the Isle of Skye, and they of their basically of them emigrating to basically what's the Scottish borders in a place called Wigtown, and where they make all the wigs for the Scottish Army and the British Army, and basically it's the evidence that they were on the census saying that they'd emigrated down from the island. You know, they came from the island originally. And,
wow.
Yeah, and
how neat is that?
Skye and Iona as well. If you're into that sort of things, are places you have to go. They like I said on Valerie's before, they're places where the veil between our world and the spirit world are much thinner than they are.
Yeah, Skye would probably
places.
be a place. I would think for sure Skye would be a place of that type of.
It's beautiful there. It's just like how Britain was before man ruined it, basically. When there's all the animals that don't exist in the rest of Britain exist there. You know what I mean? The elk.
That was me. I'm sorry.
They've reintroduced. They're talking about reintroducing some wolves into the wild in Britain, in Scotland, because basically they reintroduced wild boar like 10 years ago, and now Britain has a wild boar. They used to, but now Britain has a wild boar problem as a result of that.
So they're going to spread them out?
Yeah, so they're going to put wolves in the wild so that we can have them back in the wild again, so that they can cull the population, basically.
Interesting.
They bought the boar from Norway, and they're probably going to buy the wolves from Norway as well.
My family, we used to raise wolves.
That's so cool. I love wolves.
Oh, that's awesome, Lady B. That's so
I went out-
badass to say my family used to raise wolves.
That
like,
is pretty
come on.
cool.
Yeah, no,
And,
I actually have our male. He was an Alaskan timber wolf, and we raised pure-blooded wolves. And so when he passed away, he's like 6'4" on his hind legs,
Whoa.
and he was beautiful. So when he passed away, we had him stuck, and he was so big they had to use a deer form for his body because they didn't have the dog one big enough.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, and
I
he
mean-
was a big baby. And I love the sound of wolves baying at night and just howling. I just love that sound.
It's amazing. I would love to raise wolves. I mean, wolves and llamas, but I'd have to keep them separate.
Yeah,
Wolves and
you know,
llamas,
I
that's
mean,
a cute combo.
it's
Wolves and
almost
llamas.
it's almost getting impossible to be able to get to get a permit for that, wildlife permit
Yeah.
for that anymore.
And Shay,
Even
to answer
if
Shay's
it's
question, that there is hunting and it is allowed and it's done, but it's all really annoying in the UK when you have to do it. You have to get a license and you have to like show the police where you're storing your guns and everything like that, and it's all a big piss take basically, and it costs money to actually have the license done. So it's like you're in. You could just like buy a shotgun for like 350 quid, and then you've got the shells and all that. But it just adds way much more money to it than it should basically, and you got to pay for the locker for it. It's just, and as a result of that, it means that not as many people do hunt as would otherwise. You know.
Yeah, we hunt. I'm
I've hunted
sitting here in
before,
my nail salon on my balcony.
I
and
hunted for marijuana.
I'm
I'm a
sitting up
marijuana
here-
hunter.
I'm sitting up here on my balcony at my house. It's my nail salon. And in my nail salon, there are 4 deer heads.
I agree, Moose. That does sound very, 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 very fun, and is something I would like to do after a
Oh,
few
man, that can be
whiskeys.
dangerous, man. That could be dangerous.
Lucy. Boy, how's your
Those
helicopter?
things
No,
could
don't
be
do it from a
bad.
helicopter.
Yeah, Liza, it's really, really interesting. You know, if you want to come up and share anything or talk about anything, you're more than welcome to, and anyone else is. But
Yeah, come up and tell it, Lisa.
Lisa, sorry.
Yeah, I'm having to retrain myself.
Yeah.
So in the UK,
I try
like,
out to-
is there a lot of hunters in the UK? Like, I know in Canada they're really bad. Like, you can't like hunt. Like they're so anti-gun and stuff like that. Is UK as bad or no?
There's enough. There's enough, and I know about the world of shooting in England because my dad owned a gun and shotgun,
Jay,
and I used to go shooting with him, and
Jay.
things like that. And I used to go to gun ranges and I've fired guns at gun ranges and things and gun clubs and stuff like that. And all the lads there who go to them all hunt as well, because they've got licenses for guns, so it's easier for them to get a hunting license, because they can prove that they actually need it, you know what I mean? Because they've got guns, and and they're proving that they can use them sensibly. And but it's more difficult than it needs to be. If it was up to me, I just think you just pass a background check where you're not like here in some places where you're not a criminal, you know what I mean? When you're not like serious criminal, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you haven't had like a
crime.
misdemeanor or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or not a
misdemeanor should be
misdemeanor.
issued
Not
like
a felon.
and I
Sorry.
think just minor stuff should be excused, but the serious stuff obviously not. Maybe not violent crime and things like that would be an exclusion thing. But I think it should be easier because the reality is that what happened when the laws changed in the 90s that made the gun laws strict in England. There was a school shooting in Scotland where a guy who was a registered sex offender went on a kill spree
of a primary school, which is an elementary school, that are equivalent.
Right.
You know, that's what that would be. So like
Right.
really young kids,
Yeah.
not high schoolers. And one of the kids who survived that was tennis player Andy Murray. And people always wonder why he
Wow.
always looks so unhappy when he's winning something. It's because he's been through
Aw.
hell, and nothing will ever change what he saw when he was a kid.
Oh, that's just heartbreaking, Jay.
Yeah, it is. But what I say is, he got a gun. Why he got a gun illegally? That guy was a sex offender, so he was by law prohibited from getting guns in the UK at that time. So he broke the law because someone, one of his mates who he'd known from the shooting club before he got banned, lent it him, which was legal at the time. So I'm all right with guns not being lent to people, because you don't know what someone's going to do with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that was a horrible thing, And there was another one where it was this guy called Michael Ryan, basically like took over a village, and he had like AK-47s and stuff like that. And I can understand why maybe it's not the best idea for people to have like, assault rifles and things like that, and the heaviest of heavy shit.
Wow.
But I understand at the same time where there's some animals in this country that you need those guns for to take them down. You can't take them down, and some people, that's their livelihood. So I understand both sides of the argument. I really do. Yeah. And it's a much more of a complex issue than people put it out to be. And I don't like that both sides like to politicize it. When there's been a school shooting, that's just focus on the kids. You know what I mean, and their lives. Not talking about this and that and or putting the shooter up, and showing his pitch or her picture, and making him look, good to people who are really mentally troubled and are thinking about doing that themselves. The media has a lot to blame.
And think about what happened in Idaho, right? Recently, that Idaho 4, that was done not with a gun; it was done with a knife, right?
Exactly.
So exactly. It could have been done. You can ban all guns. People will always find a weapon. You can ban guns. People will carry knives. How can you? People carry pistols as well. How could a police officer spot a knife if someone's got it in their jacket pocket and they're just walking down the street and they have no reasonable suspicion? How can that be stopped? It can't be stopped. You know what I mean? It can only be stopped if someone who's the good person, has something to defend themselves. If I hate to sound like an idiot or make it like I'm trivializing it, but if there was a gun in the house that night, maybe less people would have been harmed, or maybe he'd have gotten it first, and it would have been an easier escape. You know what I mean? It's two sides of the coin,
Right.
So we'd never know, would we?
No, we wouldn't.
And if they have the intent to kill, they'll kill. It doesn't matter.
Exactly, because you can kill with cars. You can go on a
kill with your hands. Yeah, you could. Exactly.
I was out.
And it doesn't matter. Okay, if they ban guns and then they ban knives and they ban, somebody will take a rock. I would rather be shot than to have to be stoned to death.
Or
that
even
was way before we even. Yeah, that was way before we had guns.
It's not nice. It's horrible.
Yeah, shoot me.
Just
shoot me, okay?
Shoot me.
I don't want to be beat up till I'm gone.
You're very right, Shay. Unfortunately, where evil exists, they will find a way to commit crime. That is very true.
Probably.
And I think an idle mind or a devil's plaything as well. That's why we saw so much crime during the pandemic.
Oh, yeah, because people had to be alone with themselves,
Yeah, some people went mental because they realized that they couldn't deal with living with their own thoughts.
It's totally like 100% true. Even like you heard about like a lot of domestic violence, I think, went up too in a lot of different areas.
Yes, that's what I was thinking about. I heard about that. That was up.
Yeah, it's like Shay said here. She said her dad volunteered at the county sheriff's office after he retired, and he told her that there was a guy there that unalived himself with shoestrings.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, I've heard about people doing that before.
I mean, they'll find a way. I mean,
there's multiple
look at the
ways.
prisons. I mean, they find something somewhere that they can make into a ship. So, I mean, people will
Even
resort to any
substances.
kind.
Think about that. Even if it's like giving someone substances, or there's multiple ways. Like you said,
I think because people don't think of that often, do they? They think that poisoning people is some archaic thing that was done in the time of kings and queens, but it still happens, doesn't it?
It
happens quite often, probably.
Yeah, like that doctor who was poisoning his wife.
Yeah, and there was a lady that was poisoning her husband with arsenic and
or Visine. Have you guys heard the Visine lady? Oh man, she's nuts. She was I didn't know Visine was so deadly, FYI, but apparently it is.
Tell me, because I only saw the headline of that.
So this lady had been given her husband, I guess. Okay, so apparently Visine is very deadly, and it's also tasteless too and odorless. So it's almost like an optimal thing, I guess, if you're trying to, or if someone was to try to poison someone,
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a slow death. Like she kept giving him a couple squirts every night, or multiple times a day, so to speak. And he eventually died from it. But it rips your stomach out from the inside out, almost, so to speak. But internally, oh, it's horrible. I guess he was sick for 3-4 days straight before he eventually
God! So he just threw up all of his insides.
Yes.
That's hell. That's literally hell. I'd rather drown than that.
What's in the drops?
Whatever's in Visine. Hold on. I can look it up what the active ingredient is in Visine.
I heard that. I read that headline and I heard that, but I'm like, what's in Visine? Because my husband uses Visine every day in his eyes 2 or 3 times. He has since I've known him when we were 16 years old.
You hear about that fentanyl, that drug fentanyl,
only
a small percent of a gram of a smaller percent of a gram can actually kill you. How easy would that be for someone to just slip that in unknowingly?
So it's
called tetra. It's called tetrahydrozoline. Just so you know, that's what the active ingredient is.
I wonder what that is. Well, Moose Maneuver said that it's also a gag from the 2000s with the high school lore. She said kids would put a drop in and it would act like a laxative.
Like in American Pie with what's his name, Finch. You're Finch, and they gave him the laxatives, and he doesn't like going to the toilet at school, but he had to because they gave him laxatives.
That makes a lot of sense though, because that's kind of like I said, how he died. He got really, really sick. He was just on the toilet and throwing up for days and days, and then he just eventually just died.
Horrible. That's the worst way to.
Yeah, that's.
You don't want to die on the toilet, man. You want to die in your bed.
Something.
I think he eventually made it there, probably, but. I mean, just picture the worst stomach ache of your life, so to speak.
Shit break, yeah.
Well,
I was brought up on those films, those movies. Yeah, it's probably why everyone of my age probably acted was so Americanized at high school.
There was a I watched a documentary kind of thing here a while back. My husband always says, I'm looking for ways to unalive him because these women that, unalive people, I like those shows. And
Snapped and stuff?
Oh, yeah. And so there was this one lady on there that was poisoning her husband, dosing her husband, okay? And she wanted him to die, but she wanted him to die slowly, so she kept putting in arsenic in in his food and all of this business. And that poor man was the same way. I mean, he was on the toilet, he was throwing up. It was terrible. And then he ended up in the hospital. And whenever he went to the hospital, for the first few days, they didn't really want her to go in there, and because he needed to rest. And so he started doing better. And then after she was able to see him again, he started doing worse. And come to find out, she was giving it to him in the hospital.
My God.
To unalive him in the hospital.
Oh, wow. The balls of her, huh?
Yeah.
Surprised she didn't get injected with oxygen.
Wow.
Doesn't that kill you?
Yeah. It did. He was gone. And yeah, I'm like, I can't. But I think what happened was she couldn't see him, and then she could. And then I think he got really bad, and then she couldn't see him again, and he started getting better, and then she went back in there again, and it all started going downhill again, if I remember correctly, until he was no longer here. I can't imagine. I mean, this went on for months.
I was getting my bloods done the other day, and it was awful. It was like, because when you get your bloods done, you always like have to it's always dead early in the morning, so I didn't have a chance to like have anything to eat or anything.
Right.
And I just had Pepsi. That's all I drank, and in the morning to wake me up. And then basically, I was in getting my blood done, and I felt like really lightheaded just as it was about to end. And I said, "Is it nearly done?" And she was like, the nurse was like, "Hey, Liza." Lisa, sorry.
Oh, Liza's okay. I'm gonna go down and go back. I forgot to change the avatar. Sorry.
Yeah,
she's orange.
Yeah, you're orange, like my football, like my.
You're like an orange block.
Like my Dutch, like the Dutch.
Oops.
Like the Deutsch.
Yeah, the Dutch. You're a Dutch.
Like the Deutsch.
She'll be back. And as I was having it done, I was just like feeling really lightheaded. But this was just about to end, and the nurse was looking a bit worried. She was like, "Have you had anything to drink today?" And I was like, "Only Pepsi." And she said, "That's not good." And then because it was taking dead long to get the blood out, and
yeah,
I was getting really lightheaded. And just as she took the needle out, I just like basically like collapsed to the floor.
Oh my goodness!
Did you donate it like a pint?
She'd already put the plaster on, thankfully, so the blood didn't go everywhere. But I didn't like collapse to the floor. I like fell back into the chair because they had like a bed almost there, and I fell back into that. So I did fall back there. I felt like really lightheaded, but I was all right. It got me out of a little bit of probation work, which I'm on at the moment for a totally ridiculous thing that shouldn't be a crime because I was found with magic mushrooms.
Oh,
which I shouldn't have been found with, but I guess the judge was very good.
My blood, they have to dig around my veins every time because I always tell them to use the smallest needle possible, and they don't, and they'll just fish all over the place on my arms,
Lisa,
for a vein, and it's painful. I just about pass out from that. Hi, Lisa.
Oh, Ashkash. Yeah, I can understand about hating getting the bloods done. I have to get them done like every. Usually, I've been getting them done recently, and my doctor's made it kind of a regular thing for me to have a full physical, because I've been complaining about headaches and like really bad headaches and like just feeling like shit, and but yeah, good luck to you. Yeah, good luck to you and you're getting your bloods done. Hopefully it can be done nice and quickly, and you can be over and done with before you even know that they've even put the needle in. That's what I say. Just look away.
Lady V, were you talking about a butterfly needle? You're saying because they don't use a small enough one?
Yeah, that would be small enough, but they have one that goes on a syringe.
Okay,
the
gotcha.
Smallest one, they have different gauges.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I tell them to use the smallest one. And it's been this way my whole life that I honest to God, if you looked at the elbow part of my arm and all the little spots that are on it, you would have thought I was an addict at one time. I mean,
are you anemic?
I used to be, but I don't have. I have Lyme and fibromyalgia and other health issues. So, I'm constantly getting poked and prodded, and
I've had it in my hand before.
And I just sit there. It doesn't bother me to watch. I just sit there.
You get used to it, too.
Yeah, and I'm like just gritting my teeth, waiting for them to finally find my vein after they poked me 3 or 4 times, and then decide to go ahead and use the little one after all.
Yeah, I've had it done with the small one in my hand. It feels weird, doesn't it, when it jabs into your hand?
It does. Yeah, it does. It does. Lisa, you have a beautiful picture.
It's better than that orange square. Much better.
Yeah. That was hurting my eyes.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry for the score.
See, I'm only like wide awake like this because like I'm considering that I'm up now because I fell asleep early and Valerie had to like send me messages to wake me up.
I'm the same way. It's like once I'm up so long, I might as well just go ahead and stay up.
That's the same way I do it. Okay,
and it might be 2 or 3 days.
Well, no, I cannot do 2 or 3 days. But I heard you guys talking about arsenic.
Yes.
Okay, true story, and to me it was so extremely weird, but it's true. My grandmother, when she went to university, she was supposed to go to the United States, but my grandfather died. Then she stayed in Panama for university, and she was working at the library in the university. And she got sick and sick and sick. One day she couldn't get up. At those old times, the doctor used to go to your house, and nobody could figure out, one doctor after another and after another. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. Finally, they bring a doctor. I don't remember if the man was, he was not Panamanian. I think the man was Colombian or something like that. And he took a look at her and asked for her hands, and took a look at her hands and told her, you had been poisoned. And she was like, what?
Wow.
At that time, the way to keep the books fresh and without bugs was to spray them with arsenic. And since she was working at the library, and the people used to, wet their fingers to patch the pages, she was taking the arsenic herself.
Wow.
In the library. She almost
died.
Wow.
Yeah. If it was not for that man, she would have died, and I will not be here.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's a thing that we could talk about, like our ancestors who have had near-death experiences. Because, like, if you think about it, like you say, if that happened, if they didn't turn out the way it did, then you wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here. You know what I mean?
Right. Everything would be different. Do you guys ever?
I think my grandfather was like playing down a mine when he was younger, and like he found dynamite and lit it and then threw it, and if it goodness. He was only a kid, but I think that's what happened. But like to think, if he didn't throw it far enough, I wouldn't be here.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, they've done a better job now of covering up the old mines in the north of England, because the north of England, basically, that's what it was known for. Coal mines, just coal mines and docks, and the docks in Liverpool and Manchester, and steelworks in Sheffield, industry. And it was basically the north, all the northerners working hard to keep all the lights on for the southerners who didn't have to work as hard. See, it's like in America, where it's like everyone, like they think, it's the posh northerners versus the southerners, who get looked down upon, whereas it's the other way around in England.
There's a lot of haunted ghost towns out here, like
Melissa Jane's here.
Melissa Jane?
Really?
Hi, Mel.
Yeah. Oh my God, MJ.
Please hit that like button.
Buenos dias. Yeah.
But yeah, I was saying there's a lot of haunted ghost towns out here. Because I'm in the desert of California, and there's a lot of old,
so you're near Slab City?
Towns. Near where?
Slab City.
Where is that? Is that in a desert?
That's in Ireland.
In Ireland, you said?
No, Nyland.
Oh, okay.
Nyland?
I have no idea
Nyland,
where that is,
California.
actually. I've never even heard of it. So I'm like about 2 hours outside of Vegas.
Oh, right. So
I'm in like the Mojave Desert. Like, do you know where Death Valley is?
You're in between, basically. You're in reference to Slab City. You're in between. It's in between you and Hollywood.
Interesting. Okay.
But it's work basically. Keep telling your story, but I'll.
But yeah, there's a lot. I was just saying, like, I know at least out here, and then in Arizona, a few other states, the deserts have lots of like old coal mining towns that are just like ghost towns now. That are extremely haunted.
It's just amazing, because Valerie talks to me about how like she went to the Spawn Ranch and things like that, and that's just amazing to me, because like the Manson case has been the one that's been really close to her, whereas the case that was always close with me was the Moors murders, because it happened so close to me, and obviously with Valerie it's Manson because it happened so close to where she is.
I have gone over that one so many times in my lifetime because it is so interesting.
The Moors.
Yes.
It's the one with the parents that killed the kids, right?
No,
they weren't parents. They were basically boyfriend and girlfriend, and they abducted kids, took them up onto the moors and killed them.
Well,
I thought they were like their parents for some reason.
More than likely, they essayed them too, I think.
Oh no, they did. They absolutely did.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
All of them, boys and girls.
I was telling Val,
because that's what it was about for them. It was about the torture. It was about the suffering, because they're sadists. They're into. They took the Marquis de Sade to a whole new level. And I talk about it on a live that I did about this whole thing, about how there's elements of Nazism influenced it, and occult Nazism, because that's something that not a lot of people know about, that Hitler and his men, the secret hardcore of the SS, they weren't Christians. They were doing Satanism. They were doing hardcore Satanism.
Yeah.
In Weltsburg Castle, which is like, it's got the sun symbol on it. So
they were into the extraterrestrials too, the Nazis.
They absolutely were. That's linked to that. That's why they went down to Antarctica, because they believed that that's where the original Aryans, who were aliens, who we as the white people descend from.
Yeah.
That was their beliefs, and it's crazy to think that things like that is like far left field or right field, depending on how you look for it. Far left field as it could be, actually shaped a government and a state. You know what I mean? As big as Germany.
Yeah, That was.
And people say, "Oh, that could never happen nowadays." Oh, trust me, it could. It would easily could. It could happen anywhere.
Oh yeah, it could.
This country included.
People like to think they're free when we're really not free.
Absolutely.
Summon aliens.
I mean, even like on a daily basis with your own like everyday life, you feel like you have to
like civil liberties and that,
way.
like
right.
Yeah, everyone says like, but like I've gotten here, and it isn't as free as everyone cracked it up to be. Like the civil. Right. Obviously I've got better civil liberties here than I had in Britain by far, like way and above.
I don't disagree with that.
And but at the same time, the America that I wish we had was the America just after the revolution, just after they threw the Brits out.
Yeah.
And basically it was a free for all. People came from anywhere and everywhere and to build the place. But like liquor wasn't taxed, and like less taxes and things like that, you know, and more right to defend your own property and things like that, and not having to rely on the government as this big parental figure that we all apparently need to tell us right from wrong.
Yeah.
When, it's against the law to kill kids, but if you got rid of that law, I wouldn't automatically kill kids, and I don't think anyone here would. That shows the stupidity of it all.
I understand what you're saying.
It's our morals that make us who we are, not laws.
Absolutely.
Morals can come from spirituality, or they can just come from life experiences.
Or both, yes.
Yeah, both, yeah.
In that. I've been on a spiritual journey my whole life, so... But I'm also on other journeys too, you know, myself in my head.
Same here. What I want to understand is I want the secrets of the universe. That's what I want. That's what I've always been after.
So we all, Jay, stand in line. You can come right behind me.
Yeah, and you can come right behind me.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Right here.
What I want to know is, have aliens landed? Have they bred with the early humans? And are we ancestors of aliens? And have they constantly been watching us as UFOs to monitor our progress? I reckon they built the pyramids. I reckon they built the pyramids because I reckon that they were built for, if not built by them, built for them as landing points to show where the bigger civilization was. Because at that point, Egypt and North Africa was the heart of civilization.
Yeah, you know what my husband told me last night?
Yeah.
He said there's a guy, he just watched this on YouTube TV. And the pyramids, those slants that go up, the open holes that go up from down way in the bottom to the very top, you know, and there's like those square hole thingies there.
Yeah.
Well, those actually were used to collect water, and the water they used to power electricity. I believe that 100%. Where did that technology go? If it
Absolutely.
was back then. If they could do it back then, we could do it here.
Oh, absolutely. What I saw was this program. And it said that there were traces of like nuclear bombs going off in like ancient Egypt and at ancient sites where there'd been no testing done at all that we could measure in our recent history, which means like hundreds of thousands of years. That's what recent history is, because history is endless.
I agree.
So, and what I think that could be rival aliens coming to attack us, trying to invade.
Mm-hmm.
Why else?
This is a discussion my husband and I get into when I get on this subject.
This is like late night talk. This is where it ends up to. We start talking about ghost stories on Vals, and it ends to advance alien civilization.
And then we go to aliens
by lizard people.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't believe in them. I do.
No,
I do too.
I do.
Hence why I have a fear of them.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, that's what he told me last night. And it's by a guy that's been. He's not a fly-by-night guy. He's like, I don't remember his name, but he's very. That's all he's done in his entire life was try to figure out what was going on.
I know. If you said his name, I know who you mean. But he's had threats. He's had threats from governments and all that, and that makes me feel that he's onto something. Because if the government's threatening you, then they've got something to hide. They're worried about you. You know.
Exactly.
That means you're right. Because if he was a crank, they wouldn't bother with him.
Exactly. That's.
Is it Bob Lazar?
It might be, but I would have to ask my husband, and he's asleep.
I think it's Bob Lazar because he's the guy who I know who's studied it all his life.
Yeah, it could be because.
And what got him into it was the Roswell incident that happened out in Roswell, New Mexico, where apparently it was an air balloon, according to the U.S. government, biggest bloody air balloon that has ever been made.
Yeah.
That flew faster than anyone could physically.
I honestly don't think any of that stuff would be at Area 51 anymore.
Oh, they moved it. They moved it in the 70s. Trust me. They moved it out in the 70s. They've got it in some place that is not official, is not named, is hidden.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of that story of that? Sorry.
Also, I think that there's a lot of stuff that they have hidden from us too. Like, let's say
technology.
Yeah. Or let's say they had, hang on just a minute. You talk. I'm going to think for a second.
Maybe cures to diseases.
Well, no, I mean, if they had that technology and we lost it somewhere along the way, I'd like to know where that somewhere was.
And when and why. Yeah.
Because honestly, if you think about it, you really don't hear a whole lot from later in, when the Egypt fell, okay, yes. It wasn't like the reigning thing anymore. Damn it.
When it became colonized.
Right. I was going to say something. I can't remember what I was going to say, Jay. I'm sorry. I'll think of it.
Fine. Just come back in, because I am interested. I really want to know about that. That's something that is the Egyptians is something that is always, because I have a close relationship with my cat. I can empathize why they worship cats.
Oh yeah, definitely. We have 4.
Yeah.
They rule the roost.
I've got Teddy and Nala. Teddy is
my favorite's black. I love black cats. Absolutely.
Yes, my Teddy is black. Teddy is a tuxedo cat. He is more black than white, though. He's just got white parts on his belly.
Mine's just perfectly black. All you can. It was funny because my husband was laying in bed the other night, and every once in a while I'll take a picture of him sleeping because he looks so sweet with the cats laying on top of him and everything. And because our cats are so sweet, and she's just laying there, and I took a picture, and when I took a picture, all I could see was her eyes. You couldn't see her at all. You just saw her eyes. It was kind of creepy actually because they were glowing.
Oh, hi Valley. I didn't know you were still here, Valley. You're going to be going to bed soon, because you have every right to go to bed because you've been working so hard and you've been up early. You've been up early this morning, so you have every right to it there. So good morning to you, because that's how Valerie works. Everything's the opposite.
Yeah, this is true. Cam probably don't trust you.
No, because Melissa said she doesn't trust cats. I said, well, cats probably don't trust you.
Okay. I'm like, what?
She asked him. If she ever met Teddy or Nala, her opinion would be changed, because what they like to do is they like to do that to any person they meet. They just show their bellies and expect belly rubs, and that's their game. Yeah. And they like to brush aside every person so that they get your so that they're sent onto you, so that other animals know that you're cool, that you've looked after them. Basically, it's cool.
You remember? Do you guys remember how the old MGM movies used to be when the cat came out and stood up on his back legs and moved his paws?
I thought you said MGL. I was going to say her channel's been taken down. We don't need to talk about Molly Golightly.
Oh no, I know. Thank you. I don't even want to go there. But
great question. Great question.
My cat stands up and she does the same thing. She'll paw at the air. She'll sit on her butt and paw at the air and talk to you until you pet her.
Great question. Hi, Jay. Do you expect the next Labour government will hold a border poll? The UK and Ireland general elections are going to happen within months of each other, and Sinn Féin will do very well in both. That is very true. And personally, I do think that they will, because within the Good Friday Agreement, it says that when a majority of the people in Northern Ireland want a united Ireland, then a referendum will be held for that. And as demonstrated in the last two elections in Northern Ireland, the winning party, Sinn Féin, is a party that stands exclusively for Irish republicanism, Irish freedom. A 32-county Ireland, free from British interference. So the fact that the majority of the people have voted for them consistently in two elections now, to me, the Labour government can't ignore it. The Conservatives love to ignore it because they're arseholes and they hate Irish people. And they're the Conservative and Unionist party. So they have links with the Unionists, so they have to toe the line with them. So with the Labour government, who are like the Democrats, almost like Joe Biden level of left wing, not crazy left wing, but left wing, they will, I personally think, Frank, I think they will. Once they hold a border poll, I think they will have to hold one every 7 years. I think so. I think so as well. And I don't know. Honestly, the question about Irish unity is... Oh, good morning, Valerie. Much love to you.
Good morning, Val.
And
get a hold of me when you're ready.
And honestly, Frank, I think you're right there. But what will be interesting in Northern Ireland is who the Alliance Party, the people who vote for the Alliance Party. And the Alliance Party are a party for people who aren't concerned with whether Northern Ireland should be part of Britain or Ireland. They're just a liberal party. They're not concerned with that question at all. They just support what the majority of the people want, and that's where they stand. So I think with the majority of the people clearly showing that they would like a united Ireland by voting for Sinn Féin, I think those Alliance people would want a united Ireland as well, because in a united Ireland, Northern Ireland would become part of the European Union again, and that means that there would be free travel for people from Ireland to go on holiday to Greece, Spain, Italy, all over the place without having to have visas, which they have to have now because of Brexit. But
we're getting to that point over here too. I mean, I don't think it's going to be very long. It's going to be the same way here.
Oh, I think so as well. Where basically the states just break up and become independent.
Good night, Val. I can't type anymore. My iPad died.
Yeah, but I'm glad you came in, Frank. I was exactly. It's in the agreement. Every 7 years, it's in the agreement, and I agree, Jay. My gut feeling is Alliance and even immigrant people will lean towards unification. Absolutely, because they just there's just more opportunities if you're living in an island that you can get around Europe in, where you can go and work and study abroad in some other country, you know what I mean, and things like that. So it'd just be easier for them. And Ireland's economy is doing better than Britain's economy is at the moment. Britain's economy is not doing well. The pound is getting weaker and weaker every day, and I suspect
so is the dollar.
But I suspect that there will come a point this year, for the first time in I don't know how long, that the dollar will be stronger than the pound sometime this year because of Brexit, because of all the trade restrictions that's imposed on Britain, like all this trade that they'd otherwise get, they're not getting now. Absolutely screws them. And exactly, the DUP screwed themselves because the DUP are a party for people who want Northern Ireland to be part of Britain. And they're quite a far-right party, and got some quite old-age views, shall we say. And
the only thing about that, Jay, if you think about it, is if every state became its own country, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a cool idea. But then when you start to think about it, it's like, how, if you travel, say from Kansas to Colorado, and Kansas has its own government. Every 50 states have their own government. Okay.
Yeah.
And you travel from one government to Colorado government, you would have to know the laws there because they may not be the same. So we could have 50 places that we can go, but we have to know the laws that are there.
I get what you're saying.
Because they have their own rules, their own.
But I guess it's like that in the European Union. You know, there's all these countries that, if you're an EU citizen, like I am because of my Irish passport, I was born in Ireland, and my parents are Irish well, my dad's Irish as well, so I was entitled to it anyway. And I've got that. That means that I can travel throughout Europe without like having to have a visa or get like. Go through all that nonsense, you know what I mean, that you would otherwise if you were going to some other country. It's free travel, basically. It's basically free travel. And that could be the system that would be adopted, where you could just go in there and it's just free travel. You're a citizen of one state, so you're a citizen of all states, basically.
Exactly.
As for the laws, you know, there's some. I've been around in this country in America. For those of you who don't know that I'm in America, I've been in the South, and there's been places that are dry counties, dry towns, and I haven't known about that going in.
Yeah.
And I've stayed there like for an extended period of time, and I've just been like, "What the hell am I doing here?" It got to the point where I even went into the fields, robbed some apples. In me hoodie, and was about to use them for homemade
fermentation, huh?
Yeah, homemade. What's it called?
Cider.
Similar to cider. Yeah, it's like
hard
cider. Yeah, hard cider. Yeah, it's like that.
Wow.
But I got to the point where I was considering doing that.
Okay, so when I was growing up, we lived in Missouri. And our church was in Kansas. And on Sundays, if we ripped our nylons or something, you could stop by, like you still can, like, you know, Quick Trip or whatever, and you could get nylons, right? And then when we got to church, because we were, you know, about 12, 13, I was about 12, 13 years old, wearing nylons and all of this to church. And you couldn't buy liquor after midnight on Saturday. It was against the law to buy cigarettes. It was against the law to buy nylons on a Sunday.
Bloody hell. It was, I remember it at one point in the UK.
Hold on, but hang on. But if you go over to Kansas side, you could buy the nylons.
Oh, it's that simple. It's like you literally just drive 5 minutes?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like that in Ireland and Northern Ireland, I guess, because the it's like different liquor prices. It's around the same now, but in the past it used to be a lot cheaper to get a drink in the UK than in the Republic. So the North, basically. So people would run alcohol basically from like the border. And you'd only have to drive, like it wouldn't be manned, like there wouldn't be like a manned border like America and Mexico. It's just like America and Canada, basically, just come in, come out. It's not even manned. There's not even a check-in point or anything.
We need a passport to go into Canada.
Yeah, you don't need that for Ireland, Ireland and Northern Ireland. You can just come on through. They were talking about trying to introduce observation posts and checkpoints around the border, but they've gone off the idea because members of the IRA said that they would attack them.
Wow. Yeah, that's a huge thing right there.
Yeah, because they're still, and as to answer Frank, do I think Brexit will be reversed eventually? I actually do. I think because the EU said the invitation is always there for Britain to rejoin again, but they'll have to pay, obviously. But I think they will. I think the way it's looking now, I see it being a repeat of when Tony Blair was prime minister, when Labour was like winning every election.
I like Tony Blair.
Yeah, he brought peace. He did a lot for the peace in Ireland, and he actually talked to the IRA and to the other paramilitaries when the previous prime minister, John Major, refused to, and that's me. But then he went and did the Iraq War, which is a bit of a contrast to him being a peacemaker, which is crazy, But I think, from a weird perspective, I think he was manipulated into the Iraq War by Bush from a Christian perspective. Like he was saying, look at all these people suffering. We have to go and bring them democracy. It's the Christian thing to do, to bring them have a just world. Because Blair had recently converted to Catholicism after the Good Friday Agreement and had become really religious. And I think Bush may have convinced him that way.
Oh, I agree with you totally.
I'm surprised the EU would take UK back, but Brexit is getting terrible press in the UK as opposed to prior to Brexit. Exactly, because everyone was like, oh, yeah, let's leave the EU because less immigrants will come in. But if you actually look on the figures, more immigrants have come in since they've left the EU than in the last couple of years before leaving. So it's going up, you know what I mean? That hasn't changed anything, you know what I mean? And it hasn't changed the amount of people coming in illegally that no one knows about. So it's people who were saying that were just idiots who were told that by people who were wearing a suit, like Nigel Farage, who was a Tory, who was a Conservative. And the Conservative Party aren't nothing like the Republican Party. The Republican Party gets a lot of working class support in America, whereas the Conservative Party get next to no working class support in the UK. It's the Labour Party get all the support, who are more left wing than the Democrats in America, and the Democrats in the UK are the Liberal Democrats, and they do all right. They don't do great. They never win elections, but they do all right.
Wow, that's crazy.
So, it's an interesting system. It was a good man, but Iraq was a mistake. Absolutely, yeah. I think even he's admitted it was a mistake.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
All those young men who went and fought and lost their lives, it's like it is my generation's Vietnam, basically.
You know why we go over there? We went over there, the United States.
Israel.
Well, Israel, yes, because we're very supportive of Israel. But we went over there because Iraq owns almost all of the oil in the world.
That's true.
And we asked them we made a deal with them to protect them. If they went along with buying, you had to use the dollar to buy the oil.
Yes.
And so we kind of have an agreement of protecting them too, because we want the dollar to be the one that's still used and set the path for the dollar, make it better. That's
make it stronger, make it like the pound.
Yeah,
well, the pound was anyway.
Yeah, and it just that way there's no mix up about going to the pound. Or I think honestly we're going to end up having just a one what do they call it?
One world currency.
Yes, exactly.
Well, they can do it through Bitcoin, can't they? They've already been, thinking about it.
Yeah, I hope they don't go big. I know they're talking about making a card and everybody having the card. The thing of it is, is when they do that, Jay, if let's say I went and I bought a car and I put like $2,000 down on the car.
Yeah.
The government could say, no, you can't do that with your money.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, because they can control it. Then I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Because they can raid it, because they've hacked people's Bitcoin wallets before. It's doable, so the government can do it. So there's that risk for overreach. So I absolutely understand and I agree with your concerns.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, like, as an option, maybe it would be a good idea, because just so that, because so people aren't carrying around like money with them all the time. So they're not robbed, you know what I mean? But they can still be hacked.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just another form of it, you know what I mean?
It's like, just another.
It's like with the weapons argument, isn't it? It's the same type of argument, isn't it?
It is, and it's our constitutional right.
We'll find a way, yeah.
You know why it's our constitutional right?
Why?
It's our constitutional right because when they talked about England, I mean, when we before we had Paul Revere. What happened was that oh my God, I'm gonna have to think about it a minute again. I'm sorry, I'm tired.
It's fine.
Oh, before we had Paul Revere, okay, we had the Minutemen.
Yes, the Minutemen, yeah.
Okay, the reason why we are constitutionally given the right to have and bear arms of any kind that even the military might have, okay, it is our constitutional right because when it comes down to it, every one of us are now a Minuteman.
Yes, and we are.
They wanted us to have the weapons in case the government turned on us.
Absolutely.
So we could fight back.
Because it's a real republic. It's a true republic. So like Ireland, where you can't actually overthrow the government if they go too far. That isn't in the Irish law or anywhere in Irish law. And you'd be done for offences against the State Act, probably. And but here, yes. And that's what I believe in. I believe it is the rights of the people. And I agree with the Minutemen who were there at a minute's notice to defend the settlers from the bloody tax collecting bastards who were literally doing to America what they'd done to Ireland and India and everywhere else, where people were so poor they couldn't eat, and then they were taxing them. You still had to send your shillings to London, you know what I mean?
And that's why, that's why it says, to bear arms to defend yourself against domestic or non-domestic attacks. Let's say we have a Red Dawn, all right?
Yes. And I love that film. I love both versions, the new and the old.
I do too. And let's say that would happen. Well, if it would be like it should be, all of us would be able to defend our territory. But if they take that away from us, then they take away our ability to keep those people out.
If they take that away, then I may as well move up north to Canada, because that's what this country would become.
Yeah,
we would have no civil liberties anymore, and the government would be free to go as far as they like. And I don't trust the government, because just look at their track record.
Yeah, no, I don't either. And, they all have an agenda. I don't care who they are.
Every politician's getting some lobbyist in their ear to tell them what to say and what to do at the end of the day. No matter how they present themselves as being a new type of politician, at the end of the day, they always inevitably end up like the rest of them in that place.
Congress, exactly, because it feeds greed. It feeds the power, the sense of power that they have.
Yeah.
And then, when people are talking to them like they're all that in a bag of chips, their head gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they think they can do anything they want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even with all that, I don't think that the United States could be broken. A single state. It's impossible.
Well, that's what I was saying. I mean, how would that work? I mean, every border you would cross, you'd be in a different country and have to know every law and everything.
I don't think, because every state have different laws. We have the federal law, and then we have state law. But then if you break United States in 249 different states, at least in the continent, how you defend yourself from Russia? How do you defend yourself from Brazil, Argentina, Mexico? Exactly. The United States will get overrun in 2.5 seconds.
Yep.
Even China will make a party.
I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. They're trying to anyway.
I think honestly, I think it would change the way America is perceived as being this like big global like police officer, and I think the benefit of that would be a lot of lives saved from our service personnel who have gone over and fought wars that haven't necessarily been winnable, and it wasn't up to them, it was on the politicians who made that decision, who knew they were unwinnable. And even with all that might, America still couldn't beat the Taliban, and America still couldn't beat the Viet Cong. So it shows you that it doesn't have to have military might to be defended. It just has to have meaningful and determined men and women who are well trained and who know what they're doing. And I like the idea of the Minutemen that would be all around all of those states, that would be universal as a protection force almost in case of things like that.
But if you have Minutemen in every state, then you will be fighting bigger armies.
But what I'm saying is, because I get what you mean, but I personally don't think that if we took a step back and stopped being the world's police, that China would invade or Russia would invade. I don't think that they would care. I think both of them have got bigger things that they have to deal with. Russia's got their war with Ukraine.
I do think they will care, because America has its reach. The amount of petroleum that is in Alaska, the amount of everything that is in America, everybody wants a piece. Yeah. And we have Russia right at the north. Russia will take Canada in half of a second.
Well, it didn't happen during the Cold War, so I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But I understand what you say. I get why you want to feel safe, and of course, everyone wants to feel safe and not feel like they're going to be invaded and have their freedoms taken from them and forced to speak another language or whatever. I get that, but I just think that the reason why all those countries are pissed at us is because we've taken that stance of being the world's police, you know what I mean? When it's like, it's weird if you think about it, when America is originated from an anti-colonial struggle, but then later on does colonial things, you get me? So it takes that kind of line, like how Russia's invaded places, China's invaded places, and now America has invaded places as of, the Vietnam War in Iraq, so right. It's like, it's that anti-colonial thing that I think that if we just stopped, pressuring these places and just let them fucking do what they like, unless they were trying to come here and tell us what to do, or they were having death camps, and then we should probably intervene because it's like the right thing to do. But not send boatloads of our boys and girls over to fight a war that might be unwinnable. Every war in this age is unwinnable. Ukraine and Russia is unwinnable. Neither side will win. It will end in a stalemate.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I don't know. I think that China going after Taiwan, it will be winnable.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
They have the legal right out.
That's different because it's China. They've got so many of them. There's just so many of them. It's hard to compete. There's so many of them. So many, and they're all trained from a young age in military training. You know what I mean? It's like they're all members of the Communist Party. They're all part of that state. So it's all their duty to defend it. So they're a lot more patriotic in that way than most people in most other countries are. So I understand it is a concern, but I think what they want to do is they just want to dominate the Pacific. They've already been trying to get in with Papua New Guinea, and they have. They've bought their way into Papua New Guinea. As you know, Biden was recently in. No, he didn't. He wasn't able to attend. He was feeling ill, but someone was sent from American to go to Papua New Guinea, which is a very interesting point strategically, because it's like just upwards from Australia.
The Philippines every day. I mean, they are getting into the nose of the Americans that are in the sea trying to defend the Philippines.
They're building these like man-made islands, aren't they, so that they can extend their sea territory.
They have them.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's if America falls, the West falls. I have it as clear as that.
Absolutely.
America cannot fold.
If it was invaded, yes, but I don't think it would be. And I think if it took this less interventionist approach, I'm not saying disband the military or anything like that, but if it took this less interventionist approach, there would be less like radical Muslims trying to bomb us.
This is the thing, okay? If we just defended ourselves,
yes,
here in our own
that's
country,
what I'm saying. With what we've got now, yes,
things would be a lot different than us being dipped our toes in almost everything that's going on all over the world.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
It would be a very different. And
I'm not saying I like the idea of every state being independent, as I feel that the common man or woman would have more of a role in the government of that country or state than they would have otherwise in the federal system. That's why, and that matters a lot to me. But I understand what Lisa is saying. I respect what you're saying.
Lisa's okay. My family called me Lisa. Friends called me Lisa. It's just a mess.
Yeah, I respect what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying, because it wouldn't surprise me if China tried to take Hawaii. If we did do that, it would not surprise me. They probably would.
It's not going to surprise me when they.
That's not fair, because they treat the islanders like shit, wouldn't they? They'd get rid of all their traditions and get rid of all their ancient religions, and then their religion would have to be the Communist Party. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing, though: if they don't have to fight a war, Jay, they're already fighting a war. When they own this country, then they can take over from the inside out.
What I've seen. Have you seen that like certain neighborhoods get like race specific police? Have you seen this?
Absolutely.
In this country, like it's happened in Jewish neighborhoods, in Asian neighborhoods. Why is that?
Because they have different laws. I mean, and there's an area.
What's
there's
going on?
There's an area that you can practice Sharia law in this country.
That's ridiculous.
It is. It's ridiculous. But
this is a free country, and Sharia law, by its definition,
I tell you what,
is restrictive.
Law enforcement is scared to go in there because they may not come back out.
Absolutely, and because of the amount of firepower that you can just get your hands on in this country so easily, it's like you don't know what they've got, you know.
Right.
But I don't. But what I respect is Muslims who come here, who keep their religion to themselves, and they're not trying to enforce it in an area or make an area that way. You know what I mean? Whereas that's the radical elements, and I think they should just be deported. Just get rid of them. The radical elements.
They came over here because they didn't like where they were.
Yes, because it was too extreme, and now they don't like it here because it's too free.
Well, yeah, and so now they're turning their little area back into what they came from. It's just like one person moving from a state because they don't like all the stuff that's going on. Let's say California, they move and they go somewhere else, and because they love the country, they love, they love that state because of its laws, right? I mean, their freedom that they didn't have maybe in California.
California is pretty free except for the gun laws.
Yeah. except for they automatically start turning that state into the state that they came from that they didn't like.
Yes, we discussed this earlier, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it was either here or on Val's that we discussed this.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
But it is interesting. It just,
I've been considering running for election.
I'll vote for you.
Just like as an independent, like my platform is I'm anti-politics. So I get in, and what I'll do is I'll just hold big parties where people can just come to me and say what their concerns are, and I'll just go in and say them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not that easy.
Not a party. I'm just of the people. You know what I mean? And that's the new age, thing. I think.
You want to drop the link again, Clumsy's
of course.
But yeah, I totally and yeah, we are back full circle on that. It's just some things you just go round and round and round because it's all the same thing.
Yeah. It's that can happen, and what I'm going to be doing, because I did mention earlier that I will be posting a video about my rituals that I'll be doing, which I've been doing for years.
Yeah, I'll find that very interesting.
Yeah, because it is different, because I do chants in Greek and Latin, mainly Greek, but like Agios means sacred, and then Agios O, whatever the god or goddess's name is, sacred O, whoever you are, and that's the chant. And I also have one called the Diabolos chant, which is done. The music for The Shining, where it goes da 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 da.
Yeah.
That's that's Dies Irae, Dies Ira. That's an old chant that was Christianized in and around the I think 900 AD, and but it has its origins in ancient paganism, and apparently back in the day, if you were to play the dark verse of it, which is the dark version, which I have performed the chant of, that you would be hung.
Wow!
It was a capital offence to play it, written in English law.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's how serious they took it.
Yeah, you're just the wealth of knowledge.
Oh, you have another 40 minutes or so. That's fine. Yeah, sure. I'll be on for another 40 minutes, and then I'll let you off, and then we can all, if any of us want to stay awake, I think both of you have decided you're awake for the day, can head over to Clumsy.
Yeah, pretty much. But anyway, getting back to scary stories.
Yes.
There's so many. Now I'm not going to talk about scary stories right this second, but do you know that there are about 11 to 15 SKs in the United States right now?
Active. Wow. See, what I've been wondering about is them Texas killing fields, like how there's all these women, and no one's talking about it in the true crime community. Like, there's all these women in these found in these fields. Yeah, in Oregon as well.
I told her, I texted her today and I said, "Have you heard about Oregon?"
Valerie, just text Valerie.
Yeah, because I texted to her because I'm like, there's only one person that I've seen that's talked about it, and that was Lost Souls True Crime.
I've not heard of them.
Oh, I'll put the link in the back. You've got to
do it. Yeah. You can post it in the normal chat if you like, because you're allowed to.
I can't. My iPad died.
Oh, it's fine. All right.
And maybe you can post it in there.
Yeah, sure.
But oh gosh, hang on.
But yeah, Val's good at covering cases in general, but especially the ones that don't get much media attention. She takes them to heart, doesn't she? She really champions them, makes it her mission.
The problem, I think, is that the smaller channels, what I'm seeing with YouTube is the smaller channels wait until the big channels try it. Because YouTube will get you fast. I remember a small channel when those I think it was 4 African Americans that went with 3 African Americans that went with a friend to Mexico, supposedly for a plastic surgery. A smaller channel
tried. They all got executed.
No. Just to survive. 1, 2.
Yeah, 2 survived. Yeah.
Well, a smaller channel tried it, and YouTube just took the video down. 2 days later, the bigger channels got enough courage to talk about it, and it was fine. You have to be careful with YouTube if you're a small channel. If you have 2 million, you can do a lot. But if you have 1,000,
like what we've seen with Valerie, she got her
that's very true.
monetization taken away, and Crazy Crime Chick, and probably lots of other creators we know.
Gosh, I didn't know about Crazy Crime Chick.
Yeah, she got her monetization.
She got her monetization.
Both of them got it taken away, and Crazy Crime Chick should hear back from them in 90 days ish, and Valerie doesn't know exactly when she's going to hear back from them, but hopefully soon.
Okay, I'm dropping the link for.
A lot of people are in that bad. Monetization's away, and YouTube is looking real close because they have elections coming and they are cleaning house.
Yeah, I think that's ridiculous. Because they inevitably take sides, don't they? They inevitably side with the left-wing candidate, don't they? Now, I'm not left-wing or right-wing, but I see that from someone who isn't that.
Owned company.
I see that.
It's the right.
Yeah,
they pay lobbyists too, and they paid a lot of money. I'm guessing they want TikTok out.
Well, and then none of them ever keep their promises. Trump tried.
I think he got in there and realized that the swamp was too much for him to handle.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying, Jay. I mean, it's not as easy as
just one man.
I mean, he did a lot of stuff, but it's not that easy to get things done because there's just too much red tape to go through.
It's too much bureaucrats and regulation. Get that out of the way and things would be better. Like, I think they should open up all the mines again, get people working.
Yeah, I think, people should have a choice of whether they want to work there or not,
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think with the current safety regulations, it should be fine because they have loads of mines in other countries, like, but they're not always got the best regulations, but we can do it best. We can set the standard, because Pennsylvania has got a history of having lots of mines.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. There's one close to me near Mount Carmel in Pennsylvania. Interesting fact about Mount Carmel, where I live near, is it's actually the birthplace of the current head of Scientology.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah, I did a live about my experience with Scientology. I was in for a brief time.
I saw that, and that's why I was saying I need to go watch some of your videos that I missed while I was in school.
Yeah, that one's a good one. I only cover it briefly, but it's they stalked me. They turned up at my house.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And this was like when I was living in England. So I was living with my parents, and my mother answered it, and she just told them to go away. They never came back. She told. I guess she must have done it far more sternly than she told me.
Wow. That's crazy. You've had a really interesting life.
Yeah. I'm just glad I'm here now and not in Britain. That place kills me.
That's sad, because I'm still of the generation that we kind of still consider ourselves, in a way, part of Britain,
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to like the Queen, we were very, she was kind of ours too,
Yes, I get that, but there's always those Americans who I fit in more with, who are all like I'm not forgiving you for the Revolutionary War. I still hate the Limeys. Those die-in-the-wool people I love. And they're like, and I have to explain them my family history and how, like, if you think about it, back then in the Revolutionary War, everyone was talking with a British accent here, weren't they? Like with my accent or with a London accent or whatever. So the rebels, the original Americans were very much like me, people who had been born in Britain or Ireland or Scotland and came and over here.
Start changing it exactly the way from where they came.
Yeah.
So
the thing is with me, I love it so much. Like I people in the UK, like, oh, things are so awful in America. Everyone's getting shot. So have you been to London? People get shot there every bloody day and stabbed. So it's not like, did you know actually you're safer in New York statistically than you are in London?
You got to be kidding me.
No, that's a fact. You are statistically safer from crime of any kind in New York than in London. And I think a lot of praise goes to Mayor Giuliani for doing that, even though he's had some scandal recently. He did a lot to clean up that city. Even my dad said that, and he's a liberal.
Yeah, he did. I like Giuliani. I didn't like him when he was younger. I didn't like him at all when he was younger.
I like the way he cleaned up New York. New York was a disaster.
Yeah, it was.
Because I've heard stories from
filthy and horrible.
Yeah. Did you like? What was it like? Just New terrible. York? Just like
It was. You couldn't walk in certain places. I mean, it's like after what happened 2 years ago. It's back at what Giuliani's the 80s, the 90s.
Yeah, the 90s.
Yeah, the 90s. It's horrible. And so many businesses are closing or are closed. I mean, when you walk a block, you have 12 business, 7 are closed. It's horrible. People in the streets, the drugs.
Yeah, I heard from this comic, Joey Diaz. You might have heard of him. He grew up in North Bergen, New Jersey, but he'd go into New York a lot. And this was in the 70s and the 80s. And he was like, you'd just be at Central Park and there'd just be floods of men go cocaine and marijuana. And they were just offering drugs. And it was all fake, and that was the city. And there was like sex shops everywhere and all that's gone now. That is gone. That isn't there anymore, is it? All that stuff.
I have no idea.
All the sex shows and all that stuff, all the dirty, seedy side of it.
In certain parts, it's back.
Yeah, I'd suspect that there'd be a little bit there. So do you live in New York?
She lives everywhere.
We have interest in New York. Then we go.
We have interest in New York, right?
Yeah, we go often, but it's really bad, and the people, you can see that the New Yorkers are always tough. Now they are just mad.
Yeah.
It's you can sense it. It's just
that undercurrent of aggression that isn't a friendly place to be at all. Yeah. So you should visit. You should visit. I tell you where you should visit. You should go and visit England. You should go and visit the north of England, because there, not in London, because in London it's just the same as New York, but in Liverpool or Manchester, there it's like people from all over the world. So lots of different cultures, lots of different food and traditions. So like, it's like New York in that sense. But people will just say hello to you, and are you having a nice day? And they'll hear your accent and they'll inquire as to where you're from and are you having a nice time? People who don't even know you take an invested interest in you, and people are just friendly. It's just the way we are. And there was a comedy show in the 90s where it said it was like Beware Londoners. It was just like a skit of the news, kind of like Saturday Night Live, and it was like, beware Londoners, there's a northerner about saying hello to people who he doesn't even know, causing terror and shock throughout London because people just blank you in London. People are just the same as New York. They won't even look at you. But in like Liverpool, Manchester, Sheffield, all over and Scotland as well, they're very much like that in Scotland and Ireland, very welcoming. And Wales, they're just welcoming people. It's just the south that they're a bit funny, but everywhere else, it's just great, you know, and lots of stuff to do.
That's interesting.
I'll be posting more on my channel as well because my rugby season's starting soon, so I'll be posting like live streams of my games. So maybe it could like spark some interest in the game amongst you Americans.
Right.
Yeah. There's we in terms of attendance, we do okay. We get a few hundred people there every game, which is pretty good, you know. And you know, most of the people who I play with, the men, come from the Pacific Islands, so like Hawaii and American Samoa and Tonga and Fiji, you know, those type of places, Cook Islands.
Wow. Those
types of places. So a lot, because rugby is like massive there. That's the only sport they really play. So a lot of them have emigrated to this country, and I'm in the team with them. Wow. Most of them, and it's me, them, a lot of them from like the Pacific Islands, and there's about 4 people, local lads, who come from Philly.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
But I remember
you talking about that before.
Sorry, yeah. I've noticed that the Americans that are into rugby are like what you said before, the ones who are more in touch with their European heritage, you know what I mean? Who are like Irish Americans or, you know, Dutch Americans, you know, they're really intact with that, you know. You only have to go and look at cricket matches in this country as well. You know, you'll see a lot of immigrants mainly, because I don't mind playing cricket as well. It's all right of a game. Boring as hell to watch. As hell to watch. You don't want to watch it, but playing it is fun, and I enjoy it. And I prefer baseball. I do prefer baseball because I like watching baseball as well. My dad was always a baseball fan. He's a fan of the Mets. Yeah, fan of the New York Mets.
They wouldn't watch football, but we'd watch every single baseball game.
Yeah, we used to play it in school all the time. As everyone used to call it. Everyone was saying it was shot. I said, no, we're playing baseball. We're playing with bases, and we've got the glove as well. So it's a proper baseball, you know. So we did enjoy that. I regret to say that I've never played American football, but I'd love to try it. You know what I mean? Because I've got a rugby background because I play rugby, so it's similar skill set. So I just love to try it, you know what I mean? And I'd probably be one of the runners, you know what I mean? I'm tall, I'm like 6'6", but fast, and I'm a great hand-eye coordination as well. Like I'm great at catching, you know, that's my thing. So I'd be one of the runners, definitely.
Yeah, you probably would. That's what I was picturing you as too.
Yeah. It's because we get the same amount of, because it's funny. Where I grew up, there was an American football team called the Gladiators, and I always used to go and watch them. I never got into playing them because I was always too busy with rugby, because I played rugby for my team, and then I played rugby for school, and then I played rugby for my county. So I had like 3 things going. So
and your dad was a professional one, right?
Yeah, my dad was a professional. He played for Ireland as well in the World Cup.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he played in 1996 and in 2000. And after the 2000 World Cup, he retired from international rugby league. But he carried on playing rugby league for a while, and then his final retirement was in 2007 because he quit. He retired in 2004, but came out of retirement to play for basically the team I was playing for, an amateur side, their first team. So he came out of retirement to play for them for a few games. Because some of the dads from my rugby played for them as well. So it was like a bonding thing, you know what I mean? He got taught into it. Because he was an ex-pro as well. They really wanted him there, you know, because it would attract people to watching it. And it did, you know, because he played for... he never got to play for his hometown team, though, sadly. Where he grew up in England when he wasn't in Ireland, though. So, yeah, he managed to play for Castleford, Oldham, Swinton, and Crusaders Rugby League, which is a Welsh team. So
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I've been playing over here since I came over here. You know, I played rugby union at first because I couldn't find a rugby league team because there's, like I explained on one of Val's lives, her welcome back live, that there's two types of rugby. And there's like, I play league where it's like 13 aside. It's mainly about passing, whereas rugby union's 15 aside and it's mainly about kicking. That's basically what it's about. So that's the difference. I play both, but I prefer rugby league. And rugby league's played more in the north of England, whereas rugby union's played in the south of England, you know.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and it all goes back, the split all goes back to basically them not being able to pay players, and the northern players where rugby league was founded had to be paid because they were missing days of work in the mines to go and play rugby. So to make up for that, they were giving them payments, and the officials in the rugby union said, we can't have that, that's not allowed. So then they banished all the clubs that were engaged in that. So then all the clubs that were doing that came together and formed a new sport called rugby league, changed the rules around a bit, and there you go.
Wow.
That was in 1895. And there's been many efforts for it to be big in America. The first time was basically a whole committee of players and like professionals and coaches were due to go over to America, but just as they went over, Pearl Harbor happened, and America declared war on Germany and Japan. So it's you know, and that was curtailed by the war. And then in the 50s, there was a little bit more of an effort. There was Australian expats who were, because it's very big in Australia, who were living in America, decided to put a team together for touring Australians to play against, because they do that in rugby and in other sports as well. Like they like to go on tours of places to play all the local teams and then one big team. You know what I mean? It's like a holiday, but you play. So,
right,
it's cool. It's the way they do it is I think America obviously could learn a lot from. I think American football could learn a lot from the way they do the recruitment in rugby league. They kind of have kids from when they're about 12 playing in the academy, so they know the club. They're familiar with all the people in the club and what's expected of them at the club. You know what I mean? Whereas in America, it's only till you leave college that you get the draft. You know what I mean? And you nothing could prepare you for going from college football to the NFL. You know, it's a completely different league. So I think the grooming in a good way of the players is a much better in rugby than it is in football.
That's interesting. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah,
I just checked Clumsy. She hasn't started yet.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for her really, and sticking around for a little longer. It's already really warm today for me, so it's like I'm gonna have to put my fan on soon. It's not the best weather for me. How are you, Liza? I mean, yeah, Lisa. Sorry.
No, I was thinking about what you said. I like very much to watch rugby.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. Well,
yeah, make sure you search rugby.
Isn't it kind of in between football and soccer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, no, rugby takes a lot more.
It takes physically out of you. It's far more draining, and the injuries are always a lot more serious in rugby. Like I've broken my wrist in 2 places, and I was looking at it as it was broken.
I cannot see the problem. I think that rugby is more entertaining than football, in my opinion.
I agree with you there, because
how Americans, they will want to protect the kids with so much phone and so much this and so much that it will not be rugby anymore. Yeah,
rugby, there's no pads, exactly.
You go like that in rugby. It's like feral. It goes.
Yeah,
go.
in the it's a different type of tackling. You see, in football, they jump. It's a jump basically, and if you jump onto someone like that, there's a penalty. You get you're not allowed to do it in rugby basically like that.
Yeah.
So you have to go low down underneath the hips. Underneath the hips preferably, because if you go any higher it could be considered a high tackle, and then you'll get a penalty against your team, and then the other team can get the ball and score a try or kick over the goals and get 2 points. And make sure when you're researching for rugby that you search rugby league. It's important because rugby league's better than rugby union. You'll enjoy it more. It's faster paced. The Australian game as well is probably the best form of rugby that there is. Rugby league, Australian rugby league is like the best. They're so quick, so athletic. It's just such a high stamina.
My stepson used to play rugby, and I think that he broke his nose twice.
Oh.
He broke his knee, both of them. He broke like 8 bones.
It's a game of broken
in
bones.
High school.
It honestly is.
When he was in high school, by the time he went to college, he was too much damaged. He couldn't play anymore.
Yeah, that sadly happens. That my dad had to retire early because of his injuries to his shoulder, and his shoulder can still just fall out of place. Now, like if he's going for a cup of tea, if he just holds it at the wrong angle, it could just pop out, and because he's got so many pins in it, he doesn't feel it. So he's like, oh no, I've popped my shoulder out. I'm gonna have to call for an ambulance. So it's just normal to him. And I'm like, oh my god!
But it's very tough in the body.
I'm lucky.
People have to be prepared for that, and what?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm lucky. I'm lucky in the sense that I've only had my broken wrists then I was about 13 when that happened, and other injuries I've had, like sprained ankles, sprained foot, things like that, just minor things aren't as bad. But mainly boot studs from the cleats, as you would refer to them as here.
Yes.
Just into my leg, just dug into my leg when in the scrum, when you get down and you're pushing for the ball. Someone's just put their leg into mine, and it gets to the point where you think it sounds really, really painful, but you play long enough, you just don't feel it anymore. You don't realize you've got some stud in your leg.
I remember, like the second time he broke his nose, the doctor said, "Okay, you need a surgery," and the kid said, "No, I need to play next week." I was like, "Oh no, okay."
Yeah, that's it. It's very, very, very addictive. And
by the time he went to the surgeon was like, "What do you want me to do? All this is all injuries. This is 5 hours trying to repair this. Just keep it." And he couldn't repair it. I mean, thank God it's not that bad, but yeah, he broke his nose 3 times.
The sad thing is he's going to have to live with that pain for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Yes, the sad part is when you get older, he doesn't feel it that much. But I'm older. When you get older, what you did in your 20s, you feel it later.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm nearly 27. I'll be 27 on the 13th of September.
Yeah. Well, when you
wait until you get into the 40s and it drains.
Exactly.
I don't want
what I was going to say.
Live
and
fast,
it
die
only gets
young.
worse.
I'm joking.
40s,
I want to live long.
In the 40s, she's right, and then it only gets worse as you get older.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I got to the point that I was like, "Oh, it's going to rain because my bones hurt."
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Exactly. And then my Lyme fibro on top of it, it just really, which is why my brain's not working so well tonight, because
you've done well. You did 3 hours with Val pretty much, and you've done 2.5, nearly 3 hours with me. So you've done like 2 Lord of the Rings films pretty much. So,
and I've enjoyed every minute of it too.
Yeah.
But when my fibro and my Lyme get really acting up. I have trouble focusing.
Yeah, because it's just too much discomfort. Yeah.
Yeah, because I have too much pain to like keep track of where I am in my story, and I just totally forget what I'm saying in the middle of the sentence.
Well, that's all right. I do the same because I smoke at the park.
It's like, what was I talking about? I don't know.
I do the same.
You do a lot, Lady V, because with pain, I'm not talking. I'm not even. I'm just breathing because I want to be alive. But I will not move. I just go in lockdown.
Been there, done that, and I'm trying to stay away from that. So I force myself a lot right now.
It's a beautiful day here today.
I laid in bed for 5 years, like I wouldn't move anything but my finger to change the channel. Yeah, I'm not going back there.
But then when you have pain, and I know it's excruciating pain in because your nerves are misfiring. What do you do?
Yeah. You
smoke loads of pot.
You take a dab.
Yeah. It's better than all them pain pills that like get you addicted. It's pretty much heroin.
No, I agree. And what I said earlier in vows is true. God put it on earth for a reason.
Because I'm not addicted to it. You know what I mean? Because I do smoke it a lot, but when I'm working, I'm not just constantly doing it, and I don't have the urge in my head to do it. And when I'm doing probation, which is like serving food to people, I don't get the urge to do it either. But if it was like coke, which I have had trouble with in the past, I know I would get that urge that would be uncontrollable, which has taken me a lot to get rid of.
Yeah, you're okay. I'm older, so I'm just going to say that you're a really good kid. You really are.
Yeah, I try.
I was talking to my husband about you one day, and I was telling him how you feel about kids. And I told him, I said, he's going to end up one of these days, he's going to be an absolutely wonderful father.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think you're going to be a great father one of these days. I do.
I have plenty to learn from because of the example my dad set wasn't the best, but I know not to just.
If you keep what you say and decide that you're going to do the convictions and stuff that you have for children, you're gonna be a very good dad, really good dad.
Yeah, but wait, you're too young.
Yeah, right. I mean, when that time comes, and I'm not rushing anything for you.
Hang on, there's kids in the background already. I'm joking. There's kids in the background though because I'm in the garden, and it's a pretty bit early, but they're getting up. It's sunny. Probably why.
That's one thing about kids. You have kids, you don't have a life. Forget about yourself.
You can't have your schedule because they'll be up at 5 a.m.
Trying to open your eyelids. Dad, are you awake? Hello, I'm snoring here.
Yeah. Go away. I need to sleep.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Well, I'm very gripey about my sleep. Like,
same.
When I hit the time where I want to go to sleep, I want everything to be off and it be nice and quiet so I can go to sleep.
I have to have something on. I have to have a movie on to get to sleep. It's weird.
See, that's how my husband is.
I have to fall asleep
like
to
that
something.
Too.
My favourite film to fall asleep to is The Truman Show with Jim Carrey.
Oh, good Lord.
I love that film.
I go to Turner Classics. Old movies. Oh my God.
That's what my husband does, is that.
I love Turner Classics as well. They have
gosh, yeah. All the time.
I saw what's it called?
If my husband,
it was part of their special for films to see before you die. Funny name.
I love
it was
that
Assault on
one.
Precinct 13. I saw Assault on Precinct 13 on that channel, Turner Classics.
Yeah, my husband likes to watch Car 54, Where Are You, and all of that stuff.
I like watching On the Waterfront with Marlon Brando.
Oh,
I haven't
good
seen
movie.
that, I don't think. I'm going to have to watch that.
Those movies were the movies. Amazing acting, amazing scripts, amazing.
You don't get that now, do you? You just
Yeah.
don't. There's always someone who phones it in, isn't there?
You know, the thing that I don't like about them is that the women all sound like, oh, I love you. I love you. Oh, no, I don't. I don't. Yes, I do. Kiss me. Kiss me. No, no, I can't. I'm like, oh my God, could they be more dramatic?
Well,
Most of them are theatre actresses. That's probably why, and you're told to act up in the theatre.
Katharine Hepburn, she never did one of those.
Oh, I love her shows.
Katharine Hepburn.
She was different. I love her films.
I like what's his name? Andy Griffin.
Yeah, my husband watches that too.
He was in what's it called? A Face in the Crowd.
And he likes watching the Addams Family, the old Addams Family. You know what I grew up watching? What I grew up watching.
The lady from the Addams Family, she ended up in New York in a building that the actors have for retired actors.
Right.
She ended up drinking in bars with people buying her drinks. It was sad.
A lot of them were broke because they didn't get the money like now either.
Because they didn't have royalty checks.
Right.
It was all what the contract said. There was no counting for royalties or how much it would make afterwards, and then obviously home video and then streaming as afterwards. You know, that was not accounted for.
No.
You know what, Darren on Bewitched, the first one that they had?
Oh, yeah.
You forget about him sometime because the second one looks a lot like him and stuff. But the first one they had, he hurt his back on set and he couldn't do all of the stuff he needed to do, so they fired him. He died homeless.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sad. I like him.
Very sad, and there's a lot of them that are like that.
Yeah, a lot of kid actors as well from that era, especially.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and I used to love Cary Grant. Cary Grant was like, oh yeah. And then you have Cary Grant. I always get Cary Grant and his name went right out of my head.
Charles Lawton.
No, he played in To Kill a Mockingbird. Clark Gable.
Clark Gable, yeah, he was the next one because I know Clark Gable and Lawson, they were both in Mutiny on the Bounty together, weren't they?
Yeah, and then Cary Grant. I always loved Cary Grant too.
Yeah, because I saw them together.
One of my favorite shows is Bringing Up Baby. Have you ever seen that?
I've never heard of that one. I probably like it.
Katharine Hepburn. Yeah, it's Katharine Hepburn, Cary Grant movie. It's
yes, that she.
Do you want to know what my favorite television show is of all time?
What?
Do you want to guess?
No.
By the way, Glenn Miller played. Songs that made the hit parade. Guys like us, we had it.
You're gonna have to
edit. Those were the days. No, I'm too small. I'm not monetized
edit
either.
Your live.
Yeah, I will. I might do. But yeah, All in the Family was my favorite. Is my favorite still. It's weird that I can relate so well to that, even though it was made in the 70s.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of this stuff's still relevant.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You know, the differences in
the way the generations look and the war in the background. You know, there's the Vietnam War, and there was the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, obviously. And
yeah.
so there's a lot of parallels and race relations as well. You know, with Black Lives Matter, like with the civil rights movement back then. So similar. History repeats itself.
Yeah, it does. You know, I'm not sure she's going live because I don't see anything starting.
No, I'll wait off until she does, because I'll be right there when she does. So I may as well just stay live until she does. But obviously, you know, if she doesn't show up within, like, you know, a certain amount of time, I'm not going to keep it going forever. You know.
Right. I understand. I just wanted to check it every once in a while to see.
It helps my watch times as well, very much so. Me doing longer lives, so hopefully we can get.
No, I'm one of those people. I like longer lives. It's like if I'm looking for interrogations or something, I don't usually watch the 30-minute ones. I like the 2 or 3 hour
guess what?
ones,
Guess what? Interrogation. Guess whose interrogation I was listening to before?
Who?
Alyssa Bustamante's.
Oh, I haven't
Remember
seen
her? She was the 15-year-old who killed an 8-year-old who was friends with her sister in Missouri, in Cole County.
I should have known about that.
This was in like 2009. This happened in 2009, but I was listening to an interview.
Put the link in.
I'll put it on my community
in the back
page.
Room.
I'll put it on my community page because I'm not technologically able to go out without kicking myself from the live.
Okay.
Okay. What is the name?
Alyssa Bustamante. I think you
okay.
would know how to spell it because it's a Latin name.
What did she do?
She basically like lured a friend of her sister's and her brothers to who she was like a neighbor who lived, and she lured her to woodland near her home, and she stabbed her to death.
Why?
She said she was she said in her diary she wanted to know how it felt to kill, you know, and she was doing it for thrills, you know. And she wanted like the experience, you know, and that's the type of thing that Ian Brady said for his reasons, you know.
She was 12?
No, she was 15.
Ian Brady, that was crazy.
Like
Ian
that
Brady,
anger in Great Britain. Yeah?
Yeah. No, the Alyssa happened in Missouri, in USA.
No. I was an Anne or a Rose, a little girl in Great Britain that did the same to a boy.
Yes, she did. She was in Scotland and she did it when she was 12 and she killed like an 8-year-old boy. Yeah.
And it was
Mary
like
Rose. Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, you said you had it on here, on your community page?
I'll put it on after the live.
Oh, okay, I got you. I was looking. Yeah, okay, so this song you have on your community page, The Attic.
Yes.
What is that about? Can you play that for us?
I can't play it now. It's a club song. It was from like acid house, techno, Belgium. It's from an album called The Sound of Belgium. So I got all these like acid classics, like acid house, techno type of music. It's like trance music that you listen to kind of put yourself into a trance.
Yeah, my kids used to listen to that some. I actually kind of like the music, to be honest with you, but I needed, you know, the reason that our songs are only for so long is because you have to have a mental break. Yeah. You know, so your brain can like reset or whatever. And it just went on and on and on and on and on too long, where it was like, okay, I need a break, and for just, you know, like a couple of minutes, and then we can go back. And that's why there's like breaks in between songs and stuff, so your brain can have a mental break. Yeah,
because it's like you end up being in some like one loop, almost like you're stuck in a loop, stuck in a trip.
Right. And it just goes on and on and on. Your brain just is like, okay, I need to stop for a minute.
That's what someone said to me once. They said that you can get stuck in an acid trip. I said, how the fuck can that happen? It has a finite time until it wears off. They'd be like, no, but mentally stuck within it. I was like, oh, right, I see what you're saying.
Right,
but
yeah.
I've always had good experiences with acid. It's ecstasy that I've had bad experiences with because it probably was laced with something, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't pure where I was getting it from. I was getting it from shifty buggers, you know what I mean? From guys who like you wouldn't trust.
Right.
Yeah, because they were the only ones that I knew, you know. And I used to like, cause I was probably taking too many at once. I used to take like 3 at once, and just like cruise for a bit, and just like not drive, but just like walk around with the guys for a bit, and the girls, because we used to have a big group of us. And like after a while, I get too paranoid about people. I'd start thinking that people were trying to do me in, like they were taking me somewhere to try and like beat me up, and like, and I was like, I'm getting all paranoid and like thinking I've got to be on my guard when they try and beat me up. I'm going to have to beat them up first. So that's where violence comes from drugs. But I never got violent from it. I was just paranoid. I was just silly, and I said to people, "Are you going to take me somewhere to murder me?" And they just laughed, and I was like, "Yeah, I can see what this is. I can see what's happening. It's because of the drugs."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I had some fun times. We used to like go into like abandoned buildings and stuff, and just take loads of drugs, and like just places like this place called the Burgies, which was like a dumping ground for like this glass company. And they just put all the unused shit there. But it was like a foresty place. They had lots of trees there and stuff. So we used to just go there a lot. And
my husband, he listens to a lot of music too. He's one of those guys. Oh, speaking of which, have you ever watched those reactions to music videos that they have?
Yes, I do. I like to see them. I like to see what people from different places like react to the music I like. I want to see how they interpret it differently than I do.
Yeah, and
I like that.
Did you know that Kansas, if somebody plays Kansas, they'll like strike them
instantly?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like they're that strict with it. Yeah. Yeah, because I know Carry On My Wayward Son, because that's their big hit, isn't it? Yeah, I know that because of Guitar Hero and Rock Band, the game for the Xbox, and where you get to play live rock music, you know, and pretend you're in a band and stuff. But Rocksmith I prefer because you can actually plug in your instrument and actually play the song, whereas Guitar Hero you're just clicking buttons, you know what I mean? Whereas with Rocksmith, it like you actually get to learn songs, and that's been a big thing to where I've learned a lot of songs from. I also have this thing like guitar tabs and bass tabs, which is a good app I have that just has loads of tabs, which is like the notations and how to play the songs for me, and I can listen to them as well for some of them. Right. At the same time as I'm learning, so it's a really good learning too. And anyone who's like, I'm not good enough.
He likes to listen to like the documentaries and all of that too.
I do. I like to like music documentaries.
Yeah.
I do. I enjoy them. Because I remember Oasis, who were a band I love very much. Every album they'd put a documentary out with the album, which is amazing. You know.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. There's talk of Oasis getting back together again but Noel Gallagher, because they're brothers, you see, they're kind of like the Kinks, like they're brothers who fell out, and but Noel Gallagher said like he'll do it for 8 million, you know, and he's like the main guy. He wrote most of the songs, so I think they'd easily get offered more than that. I think I've heard in the past that they were offered around 30 million each brother, Liam and Noel. So 60 million in total to get it together again for the anniversary of their first album, and they didn't because they're a lot better on a lot better terms now than they were in the past, because Noel's just had a divorce, and I think Liam Liam put his arm out as like as an olive branch almost, and like, oh, I'm sorry to hear about this type of thing. That may have got a conversation starting. It just takes little things like that to get the magic going again. Because if they did get back together, it would be fucking massive. They could sell out anywhere in the world. They were comparable to Michael Jackson when they were at the height, and that's saying something because he was fucking big. He was really big.
Yeah, he was. He was very big.
I remember, like, it was strange because I was like getting acquainted with his music, and then he died, so it was weird. You know what I mean? It was like that was a bit weird, you know. But yeah, there's obviously a lot of things to do with Michael Jackson that I don't approve of. Him sharing his bed with boys who weren't related to him. I'm not saying that I know anything sexual happened, and you know, honestly, I'm not being critical of the people in the Leaving Neverland documentary, but one of them did testify in his favor in a trial related to that when he was an adult. So you got to, as an adult man, go, if I do this, this means that he can do that to someone else. I've got to put my foot down, you know. So that's where it gets a bit dirty to me. That's all. But do I think he was normal? No. Do I think he may have abused kids? Yes, probably, maybe. But I don't know 100% because I wasn't there. And I don't think anyone does.
Yeah,
that's why these things are so difficult. That's why these things are never open and shut in court. They're like the most complex things there are. That and spousal abuse.
Yeah, that's true.
You've got to be really delicate with it, and you know, it's I guess it says a lot about his star power that despite that, all those allegations, he was still able to sell out the London Wembley in like minutes and for all 50 shows. That's crazy.
No, that's true.
Well, I don't know any other act that could do that, to be honest. I don't think Oasis couldn't do that. Oasis wouldn't try. Maybe 30. I think 30 would, because people would come from all over the world to see Oasis. But I don't think 50. And I think he could have done 50 if he didn't, you know, have his mishap with propofol, and a doctor who didn't have his best interests at heart, who was just like, I'm on cloud 9, I'm Michael Jackson's doctor. And he was basically using that to pick up on women, was what he was using his name to pick up on women. That's what he was doing. He had about 5 kids to about 5 different women, Conrad Murray, and he was risk of going bankrupt before he was picked up for Jackson on the This Is It tour. So, you know, he's the type of doctor where if he says jump, if you say jump, he'll be like, how high? You know, he needs it.
Right.
Did you ever like Dog the Bounty Hunter?
I did watch him.
I like Dog the Bounty Hunter. I grew up watching him. Like my grandparents used to watch him like all the time because I think they were attracted to his lifestyle because it was so different to their lives.
Oh,
you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like growing up in like Scotland and Ireland and Northern England, it's like growing up like he and my grandparents had never even got a speeding ticket. Never mind like being up for accessory for murder like he was like before he turned his life around because he was at a weed deal, a pot deal. And it went wrong, and the guy pulled a shotgun, and his friend pulled his shotgun quicker, and then his friend shot the guy. And then Dog, obviously, it being in Texas, you know, if you sold the guy a candy bar once, you're an accessory to murder, basically. That's how it works there. You know, they're very strict on charging. Basically, if you were there, you were just as guilty as the guy who pulled the trigger. So he was wanted for murder, and then he was in prison, and he stopped an escape. And then one of the guards said, "You should be a bounty hunter here, or a cop, or a bounty hunter, but maybe a bounty hunter just because of his luck, because of his biker luck, you know." And that's where he started. He started being a bounty hunter, and yes, he did say some unfortunate things to his son over the phone. And I condemn that. Viciously. He should not have said those things, whether it was in private or not. You just shouldn't talk like that. He knew better than to talk like that. But yeah, It still doesn't change the fact that, I mean, but it doesn't change the fact that he went over to Mexico and he got bloody Andrew Luster, who was the Max Factor rapist, who've raped and photographed all those women. So I think that outweighs that, to be honest with you. I think it does, because he risked his own ass for that, because he broke the law, because bounty hunting's illegal in Mexico, and. But he did it anyway to get that guy back into US territory so that those women could have justice and not feel as violated, with that freak running around, with pictures of them when they were unconscious. It's sick. It would be hard for me to do that, because especially for people like that, I just want to beat them up type of thing. You know what I mean? And like, you can't, can you? You can't. It's difficult, because when he's done it as well, and it's like stuff like that, like rape, it's like, or anything to do with kids, is like, it gets me going, or animals as well, any animal cruelty gets me really angry. So it's just stuff like that, it's like stuff that I cannot understand. Like, I can understand people, committing some crimes, I can understand people committing some crimes, but not those type of crimes, beyond me.
What did you say, Liza?
Sorry, Liza.
I'm sorry. No, his show was just too wild for me.
It was too wild, yeah, because he was like, God Christ, Ice Head, yeah, and then he'd like get his burn mace out. It was just funny. I'd love it. I'd be like astounded by it. Like, as a kid watching him, I'd be like, oh my God, this guy is the coolest guy in the world. Bear in mind, my dad was still playing like professional rugby league at the time. I still thought that Doc was like the coolest guy in the world. I wanted to be part of his crew. Right, like.
That's funny.
It is. I still watch old episodes of it now. Sadly, his wife Beth passed away. He's got married again now.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I was going to say that when I get a chance, that she did pass away.
Yeah, Beth was lovely. I really liked Beth. Beth was probably, outside of Dog, was probably my favorite part of the show. She was like always like the nice kind of mothering person, but kind of angry when she needed to be.
Him and his wife for parents.
Oh, hell no. No.
Can you imagine?
No.
You'd get away with nothing.
Well, funny you say that. A lot of his kids have acted out and have been arrested and stuff, because he's got loads of kids. He's got like 7 kids.
Oh, good Lord.
But they're all grown now. But some older than the others, but he's got lots of kids. He's had lots of marriages as well. But I think Beth was his one true love. I don't think anyone could replace Beth.
Yeah, I agree. She's pretty cool. That's my clock. I'm sorry. Well, I hate to do this, but I think I'm going to drop down. I'm getting tired.
Okay.
So
I'll let this go. It's nearly 3 hours, so it is my longest stream. I'll say goodbye to you all. Thank you for both of you for being here, and thank you, Clumsy and Valerie, and everyone else who came in, and Shay and Frank for coming in for our talk about Brexit and Ireland. That was good. Liza, whatever. Melissa Jade and Ash Cash. Hope your blood test goes well, and I hope everyone has a nice evening. Buenas noches.
Yes, and thank you, Jay. I've enjoyed it. Bye-bye.
De nada. Goodbye, everyone. I hope you all have a good evening. Thank you for being here. And this has been my longest live by far. And hopefully in a few days I'll do another live. Maybe of me doing rugby I'll do a video soon of me doing my rituals as well that I'm going to put up. I'll probably do that tomorrow. I could have recorded it later today, but it will only be up tomorrow, because I'm probably going to have to do a lot of editing of the audio of it, because it's like standing on branches as well, because I'll be in the woods. So edit that out to make my voice a bit clearer. So it may take a while, but it'll be there. So thank you everyone very much for being here. It's been a pleasure. So buenas noches.